Caribbean flavor of Jamaica. They even have a tangy and tasty CBD-infused hot sauce. Let Femi Awesome Sauces take your taste buds on a flavorful journey with a kick. Order yours now at FemiAwesomeSauces.com. That's FIMI AwesomeSauces.com.
The Beach Care Services dinner is back. The last dinner was in 2019 due to COVID, and the charity has felt the impact. But Beach Care Services is beyond excited for the return of Dinner on the Bay. This fun, family-friendly event features a 3-course dinner, block party, $5,000 cash raffle, and jewelry raffle. Join our community for a night of fun, October 4th from 5 to 9 at the Shrimp Boat Restaurant. Proceeds go to helping our locals in times of need. Tickets available on Eventbrite under Dinner on the Bay.
Tire Brokers is your one-stop shop for all your auto repair needs. Whether you need an oil change, brake or engine repair, or tire and wheel services, the skilled technicians at Tire Brokers are trained to take care of it all. They even service commercial vehicles and farm and forestry equipment. Tire Brokers is dedicated to providing their customers with the very best auto repair service experience, including upfront and honest quotes, timely response to issues, and quality products and parts. Stop by the newest location in Panama City Beach at 506 Thomas Drive to let Tire Brokers earn your business and exceed your expectations.
Eating, working, living pain-free. These are things many of us take for granted. But for many adults with disabilities who are elderly or have serious medical issues, dental care is simply unaffordable. Dental Lifeline Network is looking for dentists who can change this. DLN is asking dentists and their teams to volunteer to just see one of the many patients in need. You can literally change a life. When you volunteer with DLN's Donated Dental Services program to C1, you treat a pre-qualified patient in your office at your convenience. We handle the details so you can focus on the care. Lack of dental care can lead to the inability to have life-saving surgery, eat, or contribute to our community. If you are a dentist or know a dentist, please share this message. Will you see one? Visit willyouseeone.org to help change one life in your community today.
In many countries around the world, medical care is scarce. From birth defects to serious injuries and illnesses, countless millions have no access to safe surgery. Mercy Ships is there to help. With a team of volunteer professionals, nurses, surgeons, utilizing state-of-the-art hospital ships, Mercy Ships provides free surgeries for the thousands of those who are waiting for surgery at each port.
Mercy Ships is bringing services to countries that would otherwise never be able to access those services.
We just see people that need help. You realise that they have no way of getting help, and I want them to know that they're loved.
Help make a lasting impact and turn someone's fear into joy. Find out how you can help by visiting our website at mercyships.org for more information. That's mercyships.org.
Atlanta Braves play here. WGSX Lynn Haven, WTOT, W271DM Mariana. Powered by Pepsi. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Transmission starts in 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting from the Rib Crib Radio Room. The Afternoon Underdogs are taking your calls live. 850-215-6290. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now riding with the Afternoon Underdogs here on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, also 102.1 FM in Mariana. We'll be on Blab TV shortly. You can check us out on Facebook. We're also on YouTube and Twitch, all at ESPN Northwest Florida. Follow the Facebook, subscribe to the YouTube, and follow us on Twitch as well. Help us build our Twitch, man. Maybe we should start doing some streaming UFC fights on there and pretend that we've got the controller in our hand, or NFL games, something like that.
After we do Twitch, let's get on some TikTok and do some TikTok trends.
Yeah, there you go. That is one application that I haven't downloaded. But at the end of the day, when I'm watching Facebook videos and I get to those things they call reels,
You get lost like 2 hours later. You're like,
dude, I'm telling you.
I'll never download TikTok, but then to spend hours on the Facebook reels,
watching the TikTok videos and the Instagram videos. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. The Atlanta Braves got a big win yesterday evening against the Pittsburgh Pirates, 2-1. Got a big one going on again tonight. Coverage starts after the show. First pitch at 6:05. Also download the app 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Take us with you wherever you go. Now, one of the biggest stories, we talked about funny stories yesterday, Miles, to end the show, and we're going to start Tuesday with a little bit of I wouldn't even call this funny.
Odd, weird.
Odd to some disgusting to some delicious. I don't know what your take on
Joey
it
Chestnut,
would be.
maybe.
Yeah, Joey Chestnut. Oh, man.
That's going to be his new thing. He's going to trademark it.
That's a really good idea. So we've got, at a Yankees game last night, there was a gentleman who was seen. So he basically takes a hot dog, pokes a straw through the hot dog, and then utilizes the hot dog as a straw to consume his adult beverage.
Hey, you only live once.
Is this
you already have the straw? What's the point of now making a new straw out of the what? What are you doing?
It's already weird to me that you have a straw for a beer,
right?
But then you have a hot dog in the beer with the straw. Just kind of adds more to it. I mean, he's got to be one of a kind.
I think this was all a skit. They were doing it to kind of make fun of themselves and just get it out there and make something go viral.
Because why would somebody just randomly start recording that? It's one of those things like, why?
No sane person does this.
Well, hold on. If you're the person who's a few rows back or whatever, and you're watching the game, let's say we're in between innings, and all of a sudden you look over and you see this guy with this ginormous thing sticking out of his beer, and it's like, okay, to each their own. What, So I guess the first question here is: this a great combination or a dumb modification?
Dumb modification all day. Yeah. I mean, do you want to drink hot dog water? I mean, that's what it's going to end up tasting like, right?
I like hot dogs. I kind of like beer.
Great
Mix the
combination.
two together. You gotta try it at least once. I would try it.
It's almost like a certain beer.
I don't know if I would drink the beer out of the hot dog, but I might at least eat the hot dog with the beer.
It's like a certain light beer mixed with Mountain Dew, which has become a big trend on the internet as well. Miles, what do you say here for you? Is it a great combination or a dumb modification?
I don't know yet. We'll see if the trend catches on. But look, baseball is a long game. It takes a while. People can get a lot of stuff done between those 9 innings. You can probably get your taxes done in those 9 innings.
Yeah, so people can get a lot of stuff done during a baseball game. You can even you can ask the fans over there in Oakland.
Do you think the stadium's gonna add that to the menu?
Like, here's your beer straw. Here's your beer straw.
How much do you think they'll charge? About $30 for it?
Yeah, $30.
I mean, a hot dog and a beer.
$20 for your beer, $10 for your dog.
I have had a Bloody Mary that had like a meat stick straw.
Okay.
Like a Slim Jim straw.
Yeah, but they do all kind of
crazy things. But it makes sense
things.
with a Bloody Mary because of what it is.
Yeah.
A beer is just weird. So I have seen something similar, I guess, kind of. But this is with a beer, it's weird.
I mean, it's almost as like y'all mentioned drinking beer out of a straw in general. That's like drinking your coffee out of a coffee stirrer.
Yeah.
Like,
who does it?
Who does that? Why would you want to drink your beer out of a straw? Now, I'm going to say it's a great combination. I'm kind of with Barrett on this, that I don't think that it's, for me, it's not about the straw action of it, but I'm now interested in getting a beer and getting a nice hot dog, getting it cooked up, grilled, charred, nice, and then just dipping it in there. I don't want to make the straw. I think the straw part's just I would be eating the hot dog so I'm like eating my straw. Miles had mentioned Twizzlers and what kind of
Twizzlers in a soft drink at a movie theater.
Twizzlers it's got to be the right. It's got to be the right. I would go with like a Buffalo Rock Mountain Dew or something. That if I'm going to do Twizzlers, I'm not a huge fan of Twizzlers myself, but I'm weird about candy. Like I can go forever without eating it. Then all of a sudden open up a pack of Starburst and it's like
game over.
Next thing you know, it's like gone.
Yeah, I need to head back to the store and get
8
another
pounds
pack
later,
of
it's like,
Starburst. Right, or a bag of Skittles or something like that. So definitely weird here. When it does come to your beer, before we kind of move on from that. And first off, guys, this is a Yankees fan, so this is what goes through their heads, you know. So we do bless his heart. He's a Yankees fan. Bottle, can, or draft, and are there worse ways to drink beer rather than a hot dog straw? But first, bottle, can, or draft. How do you prefer your adult beverage?
Always draft. It's kind of like a fountain soda, it's just always better.
Yeah.
Same exact.
I'm going to go with the cold glass out of the freezer, poured out of a bottle into that glass.
Wait, is he old enough to drink?
Yeah, he's 22 years old, so he's been. I would
talk about it right there.
Right. For me, I'm actually. I think that it tastes best as a draft. I think it tastes best as a draft, but give them to me in a bottle. Yeah. And you give me a 12-pack, and 6 hours later, we're out of there.
I would say if you're active,
faster.
like if you're doing things, cans are the best. Like if you're playing sports on the boat, you know, playing golf, whatever, like cans are obviously the most functional.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the best flavor.
All right, is there a worse way out there to drink beer other than a hot dog chew?
You know,
a hot dog straw.
When you bring up this subject, the only thing that came to my mind is those big pickles that they sell. And you can put the hole through the pickle. And then you
pickle straw instead of a hot dog straw?
Pickle straw. So pickle juice with the beer.
Now, I would do that if the beverage was not beer and a little bit harder, if that makes sense. Yeah. I would try that. Somewhat like a pickle back, right? Yeah. But
I would say I would try the pickle straw before the hot dog straw, though.
In beer?
In beer. If I had to do one or the other, I would do the pickle straw before the hot dog straw.
I think I'd rather do a bratwurst straw. Oh. Those brats that you had the other night. Well, that way you can get every last drop. It's kind of like going back to those TikTok and Facebook reels. You know how they're like with the high C's, like, you've been doing this wrong your whole entire life. Like, no, you idiot. There's a reason why it's sharp on this side and not on the other side. Come on. Dude, I'm telling you. I was today years old when I found out my teachers didn't teach me this. Like,
no, you're just a moron.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're just a moron. Go back to online school or something. Miles had mentioned the shoey, which has definitely become more popular lately.
This isn't close to as bad as drinking a beer out of a worn shoe that stinks.
Yeah, that's a hard no for me ever.
Well, you know what? I would rather drink a beer out of a hot dog straw at the age that I am now than the way that we would be drinking during spring break back in the day. Where, you know,
got some merit
the ice ran out of the cooler yesterday, but it's like, hey, why not?
It's there. Right?
Why not? It's there. Let's get this started. Round 2. We're on the radio here, 104.3 FM in Panama City, also 102.1 FM in Marietta, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and with our TV partner, Blab TV. If you don't have their channel through your TV service provider, you can get their app or channel on your Fire Stick or Roku device. Also, get the 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida app. We are your home for the Auburn Tigers again. College football kicking off this week. We're here at week 0, so a lot of stuff to talk about for the rest of the season. No more heavy research, just light research.
Let's go with the flow.
Research with the eyes.
Right.
It's all about the eye test, right? That's what the college football playoff does. It's all about the eye test. We got it now.
It's never about the record. It's all about the eye test.
We're going to start doing our top 4 every week, our current college football playoff bracket after every week.
Hey, actually, I kind of like that. Tuesdays on the Township Show with the Afternoon Underdogs. We'll do our top 4 each week. I really like that idea.
I was kind of joking, but I kind of like it now.
I really like that.
Right there.
If Florida State wins, they may be number 1 this weekend.
According to Barrett's rankings, yeah.
Hey, if they win, first of all.
We're going to win one game before anyone's favorite team in this whole room. And that's a fact.
That is a fact, unless
my Hawaii Warriors take it.
If we lose, I'm going to be sick next week.
Barrett's never coming back to the show.
If y'all lose to Duquesne, I'm changing y'all from going to having a 9-3 record to 3-9 or possibly 0-12.
Hypothetical, does Norvell survive if he loses that game? Does he make it to week 2 in LSU if he loses that game?
You must have to at that point. I mean,
you have to fire him, right? You would have to.
No, I don't think you could fire him.
Yeah, I don't think you could. I think that's
you lose to Duquesne.
Has anyone ever been fired after week 1?
I think it happened or a guy retired. I think it has happened semi-recently, like early in the season, week 1 or week 2. But if you lose to Duquesne,
I think that your season is done.
Have to fire him.
But I don't think that you do that right after or right before LSU. But if you lose to Duquesne, they don't even got I had to make up.
They don't even have a point
spread.
Right,
that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
I had to make up a spread. I was like, well, Florida State, Duquesne, let's go like 37.5 or so. We'll be talking about that here in the next segment.
Might not make it out of the stadium that night.
Yeah. He gets Lane Kiffin left on the tarmac, right?
You're going to be going to the game?
No, my daughter has a 2-day tournament.
Oh, okay. So. Yeah, so at least you won't be there. So KD, Kevin Durant working things out with the Nets. We'll get more into that at 5 o'clock. We got a big Bucks fan in the building. All of us in here are football fans, so we'll do some speculation around not just Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and the Brooklyn Nets, but how about Tom Brady, his absence? How does that affect the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Saban getting himself some more money. Like I believe Tyler said in his contract is pretty much set up to where he has to be.
I think he's got to be the highest paid coach in college football.
That's one heck of a clause in your contract.
Well, when you're the GOAT, though, you can do that, right?
I understand that, but
that's pretty sweet. Though.
No matter how much he's paid, he is still the most underpaid coach in college football.
Oh,
like you would almost want other coaches to just like get this. Yeah, he's getting a pay raise.
It's like, oh man,
it's like
he threw the natty so Kirby would get that raise, so he could get that.
That's such a good point. It's like, hey, let's have Oklahoma have a great season this year. Venables gets a bump up. You know, I got to get Lincoln Riley over there. Oh, come on.
Nick Saban's like, yes, sir. When Mel Tucker went up to like $9.5 million this year. Like, with all due respect, Mel Tucker, love him. You know, came from Bama, went to Georgia for a little bit. Like, seems like a great guy. I'm rooting for him. But when he's getting paid $9.5 million a year, you know Saban's like, all right, what are we getting now?
I should get like 5 times more.
Yeah, right?
Well, and then on top of all that, how much these coaches are getting paid, it just kind of makes even that much more sense for NIL to be a factor. And I'm liking the way that schools like SMU and other collectives are going about it where everybody's eating. You know what I mean? These kids don't need to be, I don't care, Bryce Young or not, $3, $4, $5 million. That's just it's a way. It's kind of like those young kid actors and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They run into that money, that fame a little too soon. The maturity, the maturation level is not there. And what do we hear about?
I will say what we could end up seeing being a small benefit. I've kind of been anti-NIL and a lot of it for some like the bigger numbers like that, but I wonder how this will help players prepare for the NFL. Like how many times did you hear about a kid he got to the NFL, never had money, and now he's trying to manage $10 million or $2 million. Well, now if you start learning with like $200,000, maybe they start learning some of those principles earlier, and you don't see these kids falling off as they exit the league.
And all that stuff.
So it could help them learn about taxes, budgeting. Like it could help with some of that.
That'd be a good idea. I actually like that. I wish
be a nice
schools
silver
would teach that
lining
a little bit better.
to hopefully the NIL.
Well, once you get, go ahead.
I do think the transparency still has to be there though with some of these NIL deals. I hate these collectives that are coming in and they're pretty much just paying these guys whatever they want.
Yeah,
because they're allowed to now.
Yeah.
I like the coldest commercial, and then a guy from Kentucky did a commercial with a local dentist office. I love that transparency where you can see these guys are actually in these ads and getting paid for X amount or this commercial.
Well, that's what it was supposed to be. It's supposed to be you can be in a car ad, you can sell a jersey, you can sell. It wasn't supposed to be, hey, we're going to give you $8 million to go to.
Yeah, you're supposed to be able to make money off of your name,
and you were supposed to have to prove
image,
something,
and off your likeness. Because at the end of the day, these universities, as well as they do on the academic side of things through tuition, they also bring in a ton of money from the likeness of these athletes. Wow. But, you know, that's just one of those things. And there's also a lot of athletes out here who their families are hurting and could use that money. That's why I say these exorbitant ones, the ones with Bryce Young getting, I mean, he's probably in between $3 to $5 million right now. That's a lot of money. Whereas, you know, he's not even going to be making that at the next level outside of his signing bonus. You know what I mean?
They don't have as much free time as in the NFL either in college.
Right. It's kind of like the Tennessee, or the quarterback that committed to Tennessee. Is going to get about $8 to $9 million.
Allegedly, that's thrown around like $8 million.
He hasn't even thrown a pass in college whatsoever. So.
And not even throwing a pass because there was the big uproar about.
He hadn't even thrown a pass in his senior year yet.
Right.
Like we're already throwing, like allegedly. Again, a lot of these numbers I think are grossly inflated.
Right.
I don't think you'll ever, at least here in the next 2 or 3 years, ever know the exact amount that each one of these players.
Oh no, no doubt, and you'll never know was the deal Was the deal kind of, done under the table to get you to that school, or was it I wanted to go to Missouri, and then after I got to Missouri, got settled in, then the Mercedes dealership stepped in and said, Missouri Mercedes, we're going to give you this black and yellow awesome car and all of that stuff. I'm all for people being able to profit off of their talents, off of their name, off their image, off their likeness. And even more so when you got coaches, no disrespect to Mel Tucker, because like you said, I'm rooting for him as well, but you're making $9.5 million a year. These kids, I don't want to make more money than you, but, I mean, come on. Yeah. What is Michigan State doing for college football? You take Michigan, and sorry, Michigan State, Bruce, but I'm just saying, if you take Michigan State away from college football, you lose one thing, really. Yeah. The Michigan State-Michigan rivalry. Yeah. That's about it. You're not gonna miss Michigan State. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not. It'd be different if that's Michigan or Ohio State. But $9.5 million to coach that team. We wish the best for Mel Tucker.
Oh yeah, I'd love for them to knock off Ohio State, win the conference, make the playoff. Like, I'm not hating on Michigan State by any means.
Yeah.
But no, it is a valid point. Like, relevancy, Michigan State doesn't have it. I mean.
We've got a lot more to go, a lot of more headlines to get into, but coming up next, we're going to get into some fantasy football, talk a little bit about the draft that we had at Dave & Buster's, how much they took care of us. Amanda Muller is going to be in the studio tomorrow with us. Not tomorrow, Thursday. She did the best and worst drafts.
Oh, she was trash talking Tyler's
team. She is a trash talker.
I think we're going to have to call in during that segment.
Oh, yeah. I think she's going to do the whole show with me from 4 to 6, so definitely call in. So we're going to talk about our draft, recap our draft from fantasy football, and then get into some week 1 storylines from the NFL, and there's a lot of good ones. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida on 104.3. You can also listen on the ESPN Northwest Florida app.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is the Panhandle's destination for the Atlanta Braves.
Got him swinging strike 3.
Ozzie Albies, Austin Riley, Ronald Acuna Jr. and the Braves are back.
Unbelievable.
And hungry for more. Listen to the world champion Atlanta Braves on a world champion radio station.
Rosario knocked the living daylights out of it.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Weather forecast for this afternoon, a mix of sun and clouds, showers and thunderstorms, about a 60-70% coverage, a high in the mid-80s, and the winds from the west-southwest 10 to 15, water temperature in the Gulf 87. Showers and thunderstorms overnight in the low 70s, more showers tomorrow. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. For 104.3 and 102.1 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
It's the cooling season, and time to call Steverson Air Conditioning for your preventative maintenance to keep your air conditioning system operating at full capacity. Steverson Air Conditioning has preventative maintenance programs, and they service all makes and models. Steverson Air Conditioning offers air duct cleaning. Steverson Air Conditioning has after-hours service and free estimates on a system change-out or duct cleaning. Call them at 248-1109.
If you're searching for a full-service animal hospital devoted to practicing compassionate and high-quality medicine, look no further than Paws in Paradise Animal Hospital.
Whether your pet needs preventative care, dental care, or in-house diagnostics, we utilize fear-free techniques and positive reinforcement to ensure the best experience for everyone.
Located at the crossings at Inlet Beach, Paws in Paradise Animal Hospital takes patient care to the next level using state-of-the-art equipment and client education.
For more information, visit Paws in Paradise Animal Hospital on Facebook.
Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, this is Tim.
Do y'all sell bait?
Yes, we seasonally stock live shrimp, live bull minnows, live sand fleas, live fiddler crabs, earthworms, night crawlers, crickets. We also stock frozen shrimp, sand fleas, mullet, squid, pre-rigged ballyhoo, bonita, stingray, cigar minnows, Boston mackerel, Spanish mackerel, and a few other miscellaneous baits. It's worth the drive to buy premium locally sourced bait from Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, located directly off Highway 98 on the west end of Panama City Beach.
More Eagles. Coming this September, another year of live play-by-play with the Auburn and Tigers. Now back to the Rib Crib Radio Room with the Afternoon Underdogs. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
We are back. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We are the new radio home for the Mosley Dolphins. The excitement and the crowds of high school football are back. Mosley with a big win over Rutherford Friday evening, 42-6. They've got Delaware Valley out of Pennsylvania coming up this Friday, all the way from Pennsylvania, and they're playing in Orlando. So we will not be broadcasting that game. We'll be back the following week at Tommy Oliver, where Bay High and the Tornadoes will host the Mosley Dolphins.
That's a crazy game for them to just, hey, I'm going to schedule a game with a team from all the way from Delaware.
What Coach Whidden is building there, what all of our coaches here in Bay County are building, but what he's building over there in Mosley, or at Mosley, is definitely special. Oh, yeah. Let's get it. So we had our draft at Dave & Buster's. First and foremost, guys, Cindy, Flip, Asia, and Amanda, everyone who had anything to do with our draft, big shout out to them. How did you guys who were there in attendance, how did y'all feel about the draft? And how do you feel about your teams?
It was a blast. It worked out well. Barrett and I were in the same division, so that made it kind of cool. We were sitting there. You know, it was a little bit less stressful than some of our other ones because of free entry, right? But it was still a good time. Super happy with the way my team ended up. Not complaining one bit. Not exactly what I thought I was going to do. I'm banking on DeAndre Swift having a big year. I'm hoping so. I've seen some things on him that I'm obviously being a dog makes it a little easier to draft him.
Yeah, no doubt.
Didn't really mean to do it. It just kind of happened. Double down on him now 2 leagues in a row with my first pick. But now Swift, Kamara, Zeke, I like that starting off. I got Madison in case Cook goes down.
Oh, handcuffs.
I got Damian Pierce out of Houston. I think he's going to end up being their RB1. So I could end up with legitimately, 4 or 5 RB1s by the end of the year. So
trade bait. How about you, Barrett? What'd you feel?
I mean, it was a great time. I met a bunch of really, really cool people. A bunch of new people that are in our actual division, everything like that. Everyone was really, really cool. The waitresses was super, super nice. Amanda, you said her name? Is that correct?
Yeah, Amanda Muller.
She was a character, man. She was awesome, and she knew football. She wasn't just saying, okay, you're the worst team, you're the best team.
Yeah.
She would go pick by pick. That was good, that was bad. She was a Bear fan, so she was a little bit of a homer.
I think that's why she voted me with the worst team, because I had DeAndre Swift, I had Allen Robinson, you know what I'm saying? He left the Bears as a Lions player. I think she had some hate in her heart.
The biggest thing going in is I didn't have no strategy really going into the
right.
You have no idea what you're going to pick. Yeah, I honestly didn't even know what the format was, if it was PPR or anything like that. I enjoyed it. I had a pretty decent team. I had someone keep stealing on my players right before me.
That's the worst, because in auction, there's no such thing really as sniping.
Yeah,
it's
you
more,
just pay for the guy. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, hey, I'll pay $100 for this guy, or what was the record that we set the other night? 93.
I had to at that point in time.
Was it Derrick Henry again? So back-to-back years, Derrick Henry sets the record. But yeah, in these snake format drafts, you can definitely get snapped. You can get sniped at. Where do you guys think you're going to finish at in the league? And there's only one correct answer here.
Number one, obviously.
I mean, he's going to be number one after me.
So you're going to be the number one, number two. And right here in front of us, guys, we've got the trophies. There's going to be some other things thrown along in the gift packs as well. But this is for first place here. The head of the horseman will hand that one off to Barrett. And then last place is going to be getting the tail of the horse. That is last place. Let's go favorite sleeper here in college football. I've got two of them. I'm going to start with one. He may not even be a sleeper because he's a 5-star, but coming over from TCU, getting into an offense like that over at Ole Miss, the running back Zach Evans. I think that's a name to watch out for this year in Zach Evans. That's going to be my sleeper. I don't know if he constitutes as a sleeper, but he is for me.
He's going to be the best player on that offense by far, I think.
Oh, he's going to be fun. Him and Jackson Dart, I think, will have a good year.
I mean, mine's pretty simple. It's kind of the same as his. He's not a sleeper. Most people are going to know his name. He went to what I think is one of the best schools this year, Jabia Gibbs. The running back from Georgia Tech that transferred over to Alabama.
Roll Tide?
I think he's going to go about 12 to 1,300 yards, probably about 400 or 500 yards receiving. I think he's going to be electric for that offense.
Man, I'm telling you, got to watch out for this year's John Rice Plumlee was named the starting quarterback yesterday at UCF. He's the king of that read option down there with Gus Malzahn.
Yeah.
The way he likes to run it, he's going to put up numbers this year in the AAC.
And I like that.
Came over from Ole Miss.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say because he came over there, so he's been in an offense that runs kind of similar to what Gus tries to do. He's similar to Dylan Gabriel, who's now over at Oklahoma. I like that one.
He's going to put up big numbers this
know
year
what's
for
awesome
anybody who
about
doesn't
that?
know him.
As soon as he was named the starter, you know who tweeted about it?
Who's that?
Good old Lane Kiffin. Congratulations.
Oh, yeah.
If you do not follow Lane Kiffin on Twitter and you use Twitter, you are missing out. He is the best follow on Twitter.
Isn't he? He's become one of the most. He's went from one of the most hated to one of the most likable characters
really
in
is,
all of college football.
Going to Alabama kind of changed that a lot for him.
It really did, man. You learn the process.
Like, I want to say he like almost kind of hit rock bottom, like getting fired from the Raiders and USC and the whole Tennessee deal. I think he learned
all
from
of those are such top.
And he was like
premier-
28 years
that's
old or
what I'm
30 years
saying.
old when he took over the Raiders. Like at a time that was unheard of. And then he kind of hit rock bottom. I think was able to build himself back up. He posted a good bit about religion and stuff like that. So maybe he changed his ways that way. Went down to FAU, did some good things there. Over at Ole Miss, doing some pretty good things. I'm a big Lane Kiffin fan.
Yeah, I love Lane
Always
Kiffin.
have been.
Sleeper for you out of college football.
Yeah, I got Spencer Rattler. Nobody's talking about this team at all.
Shut up.
I think they really can finish in the
Do you talk
second
about
or
a 6
third
and
in
6
that
team?
in
Or
the
is
East.
that what you're supposed to do? Or
I mean, he's just talking about a player.
It's the race is going to be between South Carolina, Tennessee, and Kentucky.
For like third in division?
No, to finish second or third.
Okay.
I
was like, what race are we talking about? Is this like the race before the Kentucky Derby or something?
We all know the SEC championships, Alabama and Georgia. It's
Yeah.
who's going to finish second in each of those divisions.
Fair enough.
Let's get to a favorite sleeper here in the NFL. I'll start off with this one as well. And he's another guy that I don't know if he's actually a sleeper, but going over to the Seattle Seahawks, you're dealing with Geno Smith and Drew Lock. They're going to run the ball a lot. Rashad Penny's going to end up getting hurt. I think that you're going to see a lot out of the guy from Mel Tucker's Michigan State, Kenneth Walker III. That's who I'm going with.
You sure? Because last time I heard, he's going to be out for a long time with his hernia that's not hernia.
They said he was supposed to be back week 1.
Yeah, but then they came out today
Did
saying
they?
that.
Did they change that up?
But no, he was a great running back. They picked him in the second round for a reason. So.
Yeah, no doubt.
Penny was kind of a flash in the pan.
And he's been hurt off and on anyway, so you
Right.
can't count. I mean, running backs in general, you can't count on to stay healthy for the most part.
But no, Kenneth Walker was a beast at Michigan State. He carried a lot of those games with those 200 yards, 4 touchdown type games.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can call it a homer pick. You can call it whatever you want. I don't really care. Julio Jones. Julio Jones is going to be an ace for Tom Brady. He'll give Godwin a little bit more time. I think Godwin's still going to play week 1, but it won't push Godwin to have those 14 to 16 targets that he's used to. And it won't make Julio have to stretch the field every single game. I think he's going to end up about 750 yards and about 8 or 9 touchdowns. He'll fill that Antonio Brown role without the Antonio Brown drama.
Antics.
Yeah. He won't tear his jersey off and run in the middle of the field dancing.
Yeah, so really quick, though, on Kenneth Walker, it does look like he could be out for a few more weeks outside of just week 1 with that hernia that he's dealing with. So who do you have as a sleeper in the NFL?
So 3 weeks ago, I probably laughed at myself for even making this pick. I'm throwing out Baby Hands Pickett. I think he's had a good.
A lot of people are talking about
I think he's had a
him.
good preseason. I think he ends up maybe not week 1, but I think by week 4 he ends up displacing Pro Bowler Mitch Trubisky as QB1 in Pittsburgh. You got to put the respect on his name. He's going to have some good weapons. Deontay Johnson, my boy George Pickens, Chase Claypool, Freiermuth, Najee Harris. Like, he's got some good weapons. That offense getting a little bit of time. He's looked pretty good in preseason, better than I expected. I think he's going to surprise some people. I think he ends up. I think he's a serious contender for Offensive Rookie of the Year this year, mostly because of the position he plays.
I want to throw one thing, and then I'll 100% let him go. And you can only take it with a grain of salt with preseason. But you know who's actually looked really good in the preseason? Daniel Jones. 75% completion rate.
But it's hard to take preseason seriously on a guy you know is average. Or has proven to be average.
But you have a coach who, Josh Allen was very average. We all thought he was a bust those first couple of years. He takes over as offense coordinator. Now Josh Allen's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm not saying Daniel Jones is going to be one of those best quarterbacks.
Yeah.
but he has the capability with that coach to be able to use all of his skills.
He did throw a ball into triple coverage over the weekend. Just want to put that out there.
That must have been one of his incompletions.
Hey, 25% incompletions. That's not too bad. What you got, Miles?
My sleeper is Trevor Lawrence. He has a competent head coach around him. They got him some weapons this year. I think he should take a big step forward this year, and he's going to put up points.
I'm a fan.
Let's see. For me, then, since Kenneth Walker's going to be out, one to watch for is going to be, and I know it sounds biased, I wanted to go Allen Robinson. I think he's going to play a huge role in the Rams offense and making Cooper Kupp a little bit more available. But I'm going to go with bias pick here, tight end Austin Hooper. Ryan Tannehill really didn't have that tight end that he could trust last year, and there was a reason in the drop-off from the numbers of being a top 4 quarterback in some categories in 2021 to not even being very relevant in 2022.
Last season.
Yeah, last season, whichever way it goes.
We knew what you meant.
So I'm going to go with Austin Hooper, the tight end there. I think that'll work out. You guys are listening to the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes, along with Tyler Bishop, Barrett Townsend, and Miles Nash de Lashley. We're going to take a quick timeout, pay some bills. We'll be back in a few.
Weather in the Panhandle never stops. Turn to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida and staff meteorologist Tim Root for up-to-the-minute weather reports all day long.
Moving northwestward into the Gulf of Mexico by the weekend.
In-depth storm coverage.
Gusty winds up to 60 miles per hour.
And breaking weather as it happens.
We do have a tropical storm warning.
ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Weather forecast for this afternoon, a mix of sun and clouds, showers and thunderstorms, about a 60-70% coverage, the high in the mid-80s, and the winds from the west-southwest 10 to 15, water temperature in the Gulf 87. Showers and thunderstorms overnight in the low 70s, more showers tomorrow. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. For 104.3 and 102.1 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
Earthworks of Northwest Florida knows it's a perfect time for you to update your home. Whether it's routine touch-ups or a new look, Earthworks has just what you need. Sand, stone, mulch, and gravel, pickup or delivery. Visit earthworks.com and request a quote. Discover your dream landscape with Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Love the land you live on. Earthworks of Northwest Florida, 2005 Industrial Drive.
Hi, I'm Kevin Shady with KHS & Associates. We represent private insurance providers using multiple nationwide PPO networks for pre-negotiated discounted rates and no copays, no co-insurance, and no deductibles. If you're interested in a quote, give us a call or text 502-386-1128 and provide us your zip code and the ages and gender of those to include. Call or text us at 502-386-1128. That's 502-386-1128.
Did you know that fees associated with real estate closings are virtually the same from one title company to the next? So what sets South Oak Title apart? Effective communication, customer service, expertise, and technology. If you're buying or selling real estate, refinancing a residential or commercial property, tell your realtor you want to close with South Oak Title. South Oak Title, with locations across the Southeast, including Panama City Beach, Inlet Beach, Destin, and Fort Walton Beach. Visit them online at southoaktitle.com.
Number of rings since 1987. Dallas Cowboys 0. J-Lo 5. Just saying. Now back to the Rib Crib Radio Room with the Afternoon Underdogs on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs on 102.1 FM in Mariana, also 104.3 FM here in Panama City. We're on Blab TV in Pensacola, Mobile area. If you don't have them through your TV service provider, then make sure that you get on your Fire Stick or your Roku TV and download their channel or app and then pull up Blab TV and watch the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm telling you, it looks good on the big screen. Let's get into some week one storylines for the NFL. Starting it off, we've got the defending champs, the LA Rams. I believe they're hosting here the Super Bowl favorites, the Buffalo Bills. What do you guys expect to play out in week 1 in that game? Barrett, we'll start with you.
I mean, Rams are going to have a lot of emotion getting that Super Bowl ring. Usually the Super Bowl defending champs don't play as good as they're going to play throughout the rest of the season. Buffalo coming off of the loss against Kansas City. I think Buffalo's going to win. I'm not going to say by 2 or 3 touchdowns, but the score is going to look a lot closer than the actual game is. I can see like a 31-21 type game.
Ooh, I like that. Tyler?
I'm interested to see how they come out, because last year, if y'all remember, Buffalo came out week 1 against Pittsburgh and looked awful.
Yeah.
Terrible.
They were terrible. I think they ended up losing the game pretty badly.
Yeah.
It was, like, when everybody was expecting, again, Buffalo to be a contender, and they came out and played like garbage. It's like, well, what's going on? And then obviously they turned around and maybe ended up being one of the best teams in the NFL last year. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's really going to come down to how healthy Stafford is going to play a big part in that. Revamped defense, losing Von Miller off that D, can they replace his production? Just the attention a guy like Von Miller brings. Gun to my head right now, I'm picking the Bills probably. I think they're still one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFL going into the year, just roster-wise. But it's interesting to see if they start off hot this year, if they kind of do what they did last year, take a week or two to get into the groove of things.
Yeah.
I'll definitely look for the over to hit in this game. And, look for each team to put up about 50 points apiece. We don't know what will happen. It's a week 1 game. Anything can.
Monday night game.
Oh, man, that was one of the best games.
All-time game right there. I want it.
In Mexico, right?
No, I don't think it was one of the Mexico games. It was just one of those Monday night games. It ended up being, 52-45 or something crazy.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was a great
But I want this game to be like that. Hopefully we'll have some more in the future.
Yeah.
I think, you'll probably see some fireworks in this game. You brought up Von Miller. It is going to be interesting seeing him going up against his former team.
Right.
Yeah, so he'll know a little bit about the offensive line tactics and who he needs to attack.
Yeah.
Stafford's injury is going to play a pivotal role. Yeah, of course, quarterback, coach talk, all of that good stuff. He's going to act like it's no big deal. At the end of the day, though, we're talking about an elbow, and elbow, shoulder, arm is going to affect accuracy. Stafford's known for that, accuracy. So, also, how will Allen Robinson gel into this offense? I'm looking for the Rams to have that Super Bowl hangover type deal and maybe not even look as sharp until that defense gets going until week 2, 3, 4. I'd have to look at the schedule. I got the Bills winning here. I think that there's going to be a lot of points scored, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was a low scoring game and you end up the winner ended up being the last team with the ball.
Yeah.
So moving on here to our second.
Diggs versus Ramsey matchup's going to be good too.
Oh man, it's always fun, I call him Jamsey, Jalen Ramsey, just because of running his mouth, and he runs his mouth for the full 4 quarters. So that'll be interesting. The second storyline, we'll skip on to which one looks to me. The first AFC West battle here, the Raiders and the Chargers battle and rematch of Week 18. What do you guys expect to be seeing with that one? Let's start with Miles.
I think the Chargers are obviously going to win. They have a really good team. I think they take a big step forward this year. Justin Herbert, year 3?
Yep.
I think he takes a huge step forward this year. That coach has to get it done this year, or I think they have to get rid of him this year, next year. He's been there for a while. He's
the newer guy. He just came in. This is his second year.
Second year, Staley,
I don't think it matters though. He has the players. He has the team to do it. Yeah. They've been right there the past few years. They got to get over the hump. But I think the Chargers will win.
Yeah, I don't see this one being like a hated, not a rivalry, but like a revenge for Week 18, because I think the game ended kind of weird, and I know they're probably a little pissed, but I don't think there's going to have that hate factor that some of those games will have. I agree, though. In L.A., I think the Chargers are going to win. I think they're the better team. Josh McDaniels coming into his first game as the Raiders head coach. Hasn't been a head coach in a while. Obviously, I think the Chargers are going to be a little bit better, well-oiled machine at that point.
I actually got the Raiders in this one. A lot of it has to do with there was a pretty big injury that came out today that J.C. Jackson's going to be out anywhere from about 2 to 4 weeks. And if he's not there, Devontae Adams is just going to eat that secondary alive. I love Derwin James, but he's not a person that can guard a wide receiver one-on-one. And I think it's the unknown. The Raiders know the Chargers. They know the offense. They know the players, everything like that. The Raiders are coming in with a brand new head coach, brand new players. So I think it's more of the unknown. If you said this was week 18, right? If this was week 18,
right,
then I could probably say the Chargers. But as of right now, I'm going to go with the Raiders in a really close game.
See, what I find interesting here is how much time is Derek Carr going to have to find Devontae Adams? Because not only do you got Bosa on one side, but Khalil Mack coming over is going to add some relief to that defensive line. But I've also seen bold predictions where the Raiders could be the number one scoring offense in the entire NFL. And I think a lot of that has to do with the wide receiver that they're bringing in Devontae Adams. And the running back position is pretty much a question mark. As much as we've seen from Josh Jacobs in the preseason, they released Kenyon Drake today, so that opens up for Zamir White, Zeus, to play a bigger role in that Raiders offense. I like the Raiders to win week 1 here, even though the Chargers are my favorite to win the AFC West. Does the O-line for Tom Brady versus Micah Parsons' Cowboys defense, Bucks, Cowboys, two of the biggest names in the National Football League. Let's let Barrett start us off here.
I think there's a big overreacting about Tampa Bay's offensive line being completely shattered right now. Yes, we did lose Ali Marpet and we lost our center. We still have the best right tackle in the game. He shut down Michael Parsons all game last year. I'm not sitting here saying that Michael Parsons ain't going to get a sack, maybe a sack and a half, but the defense and Brady is still going to have plenty of time to find weapons. So I think it's going to still be an easy, no pass rush, get the ball out of his hands quick to the wide receivers, and a pretty easy dub to start off the season.
Tyler? I think the combo of kind of going off what Barrett said, you got the combo of Arians, Leftwich, Brady. That's a lot of NFL experience there. They're going to know how good their offensive line is, right? If it's poor in practice, they're going to know that they're not going to try to go deep every play. They're going to do some quick routes, screens, whatever they got to do to get the ball out of Brady's hands quickly. They're not going to let a 45-year-old quarterback take big shots week 1 if they don't have to. I think they'll scheme if they have to, they'll scheme around it.
Yeah.
Miles?
Yeah, Brady's not going to have a problem. He's been in the league for 20 years. I'm sure he's had a few down years with O-line before. They're going to work around it. And the Cowboys are still very overrated. Brady goes in there and puts up 5 touchdowns, so I hope you have him on your fantasy team.
My biggest thing is when we lost Jensen, we put in Hansley, who came from Notre Dame. If we were super worried about him being which obviously he's going to be a step down from Ryan Jensen because he was a huge, great center. But if they were worried, they would have went and signed J.C. Tretter, who was a great center that played for the Browns the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
But obviously they're not worried about it whatsoever. All right tackle. He's been out the last 2 or 3 days because he's got an oblique injury, but they're just kind of being cautious with it right now. I think they'll be fine.
This is going to be an interesting game because, Dak, it's not necessarily a prove-it year because he's got the money, but it's like prove that you're
worth it.
Yeah, it proves that you're worth that money. The Buccaneers don't come in with a shabby defense at all either. So the offensive line is about the only thing that I'll be interested in watching. I think Julio Jones in the red zone threat is going to be something for our eyes to behold.
Julio and Mike Evans in the red zone, just line them both up there and throw it up and see who comes down with it.
I think a lot of people are underestimating, too, that we signed Kyle Rudolph. And he is a great red zone target. He's not going to get you 6 or 7 catches over the middle, but when you get in that red zone, you got Mike Evans, Julio Jones, Chris Godwin, Leonard Fournette, Cameron Brate, Kyle Rudolph.
And the thing is if you take Julio Jones, you put him in a tight end slot, right? Put him to the left of the offensive line, right? In a tight end slot, and then you have Mike Evans over there, wide out. He runs to the pylon. You take Julio Jones, runs a little out to the inside pylon, and then you can have Chris Godwin in a trip set almost, or a slot receiver running the slant right there, and then boom shakalaka, that's touchdown, that's money, that's 6.
Well, then you call the quarterback draw and that 45-year quarterback goes straight up the middle for the touchdown.
That is some good stuff. We've got some more storylines to cover. We do got to get to a break. We're going to go ahead and open up the lines for trivia, 850-215-6290. The question for today, who is Nebraska's career rushing leader? A hint here, he was a Heisman winner. Who is Nebraska's career rushing leader? You're listening to the Afternoon Underdogs. It's 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. You can also hear us on the ESPN Northwest Florida app. Get it in the Google Play Store or the App Store.
This is your captain speaking. Thank you for flying with ESPN Northwest Florida. Please return to your seats, buckle up, and prepare for launch.
It will lay down. Base hit. Here comes Ronald. Braves win it.
The defending world champion Atlanta Braves are sponsored by Bill Burr Kia, Beltway Portable Buildings, Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, Ellis Agency Insurance, and ESPN Northwest Florida. And we apologize for any turbulence you've experienced this season with the Atlanta Braves.
If you're searching for a full-service animal hospital devoted to practicing compassionate and high-quality medicine, look no further than Paws in Paradise Animal Hospital.
Whether your pet needs preventative care, dental care, or in-house diagnostics, we utilize fear-free techniques and positive reinforcement to ensure the best experience for everyone.
Located at the crossings at Inlet Beach, Paws in Paradise Animal Hospital takes patient care to the next level using state-of-the-art equipment and client education.
For more information, visit Paws in Paradise Animal Hospital on Facebook.
Golf Plus is your premier golf shop on the Gulf Coast. Not a big box or a chain store, but a local store with golf experts to serve you. An amazing array of demo and fitting products, plus a professional repair shop that can handle anything from a basic re-grip to a full set of re-shafts and everything in between. Golf Plus has locations in Dothan and Panama City Beach to serve you. Come see them today for all your golf needs. Located next to Firefly at the shops at Edgewater. Call 850-249-2726.
Dr. Chad Mitchell, orthopedic surgeon, specializing in sports medicine and joint replacement of the knee, shoulder, and hip. He serves our local athletes and our community. Southern Orthopedic Specialist has been the leader in orthopedic care for over 20 years. New patients are welcome. Call 850-769-KNEE to schedule an appointment. More about Dr. Mitchell and Southern Orthopedic Specialist is available on their website, southernorthopedic.com. Southern Orthopedic, getting you back in the game.
Join the First Federal Bank family, celebrating 60 years of growth and a vision for the future. First Federal Bank is a full-service community bank offering personal and business banking with a branch conveniently located in Panama City. First Federal Bank is also available online, by telephone, and through mobile banking. First Federal Bank is ready to help with home loans, SBA and USDA lending, commercial, and business loans. First Federal Bank is an equal housing lender.
If you can't take the heat,
if the Braves don't do something now, there won't be a playoff.
stay out of the kitchen. Uncompromising sports talk lives here. Now back to the Rib Crib Radio Room with the Afternoon Underdogs. ESPN Northwest Florida.
850-215-6290 for your chance to win $25 to Buddy Gandy's. Not the, but that boot store, $25 gift certificate to there as well. And a 12-pack of Buffalo Rock, who is Nebraska's career rushing leader. 850-215-6290. A quick Braves update here. We're going to get you to the coverage right after the Afternoon Underdogs today at 6. First pitch, 6:05. Max Fried on the bump for the Bravos tonight. They get the 2-1 win over the Buccos last night. Jake Odorizzi looked pretty good. 6 innings pitched, gave up 4 hits and 1 run to 7 strikeouts. How about the youngins, Michael Harris and Vaughn Grissom, getting it done, man?
Good for a long time.
I mean, basically, I guess the next question is, when does Vaughn Grissom get that lucrative contract that is not necessarily lucrative financially speaking, but lucrative for the Atlanta Braves? Like, could you imagine? Is there another squad in any other professional sport that is locking up the talent that they're getting at the amount of money that they're getting them for?
There's no way. I mean, you got to think of how we got Acuna, how we got Ozzy. When last week we re-signed Michael Harris.
Yeah.
So it's the next step is just to get Swanson now.
All right. We got a caller on line 1.
David on the line.
David, you are on with David on the Afternoon Underdogs. What's going on, my friend?
Hey, doing great. How about you guys?
I'm doing fantastic. Have you won in the last 30 days?
I have not.
All right. Give me the answer. Who is Nebraska's career rushing leader?
Johnny Rogers.
No, sir. That is not the answer that we are looking for. Thanks so much for the call. All right, 850-215-6290. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. Who is Nebraska's career rushing leader? Also, on top of that, the Yankees ended up beating the Mets last night 4-2. So now the deficit in the National League East is down to 3 games.
Go Yankees. It's the only time we say go Yankees.
I was about to say
Desperate times, right?
This is the only time of the year I'm a Yankees fan is any time that they're playing another team from the National League East. Unless it's the Marlins or the Nationals, then I'm going for the Marlins or the Nationals to take care of it there. Isn't it funny how in college football we pull for our conferences? You know what I mean?
We had this debate this morning, and I would never root for Miami against anybody unless it was against Florida.
There's difference in rivalries, though, in, conferences, especially when it comes to the SEC. We got another caller on?
Bruce on the line. He says it's really simple.
Bruce on line 2. What do you got? You're with the Afternoon Underdogs.
Mike Rozier.
Yes, sir. That's easy money. Yes, sir. It is Mike Rozier.
They were just too young.
Yeah. No doubt about it.
No, you never root. You know what? That's what kills me about these guys in the SEC. If you were a Georgia fan, if Florida was playing for the national title, they'll root for them.
That's a hard no, sir.
For the national title, I hope their bus blows up in the parking lot.
You would not catch me dead rooting for Florida in the national championship.
I don't know
Let me go
one
ahead and tell you
Georgia
that right
fan
now.
that would ever root for a Florida fan.
No, he's got his facts mixed up there.
I lived in Georgia for 20 years. I watched Georgia fans cheer for Florida when they were playing for a national champion because it was SEC.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. I don't believe you, but I'll take your word for it.
Hey, Michigan State Bruce, thanks so much for the call.
All right, man. You send me a text?
Yeah, go ahead and send a text over, and we'll take care of you from there, okay?
I already did.
Okay, all right, perfect. All right. So, yeah, let's kind of finish off this segment with that debate because I remember in 2013 when Florida State was taking on Auburn.
Oh, yeah.
Florida State all the way. I wasn't pulling for Trey Mason. I wasn't pulling for Auburn.
I would have no problem with a team like Arkansas, Mississippi State, Ole Miss. I'm not rooting for Auburn. I'm not rooting for Florida.
Right.
Tennessee, no. Outside of those three.
Definitely not. Tennessee is a little different for me lately just because of the downside. You know what I mean? It would be good to see Tennessee playing some good football again, but still, it's Tennessee.
I'd root for Soviet Russia to beat Florida in football. Let's not get this twisted one way or another.
You can't root for your rival, obviously.
No. Yeah, kind of piggyback what Tyler said. When Clemson plays Alabama, I'm obviously going to be rooting for Clemson to beat Alabama. That's just me. But if Miami is playing Alabama, Miami's playing Georgia, anything, I'm rooting completely against Miami. And that's just me.
Me being an Alabama fan from growing up in Mississippi and living there for a while, all my friends are Mississippi State and Ole Miss fans. Well, Bama gets to the championship every other year. You know what they tell me? Hey, let's go get a championship for the SEC.
Well, yeah, you say that when you know you're not the one winning one. That's you know your team doesn't have a legitimate chance. That's when you really do that.
But that's what I'm getting at. Is really the only other sport like in the National Football League, the Colts make it to the Super Bowl. Now, when it comes to the Super Bowl, obviously you're going to pick one of the two teams for the reason that you have. But if it's the Colts and whoever. I don't know really who I hate on the NFC side of things, but if it's I'm going for the opposite side of it. Yeah. Now the difference was when the Colts played the Saints in the Super Bowl. I was a big Peyton Manning fan for some reason growing up, so I didn't have the hatred for the Colts then when I was younger. Now I've grown up, I've matured, I've gained some wisdom. I'm not rooting for the Colts in anything.
On one of these Tuesdays, we need to talk about that Super Bowl. I think it's one of the most rigged Super Bowls I've ever seen in my life.
I hate talking about
one of the most rigged NFL everything right there.
I will say, I think part of the reason why it's so big in the South, though, is the South is college football. College football is the South.
Yeah.
NFL's here, NBA's here, but your average Southern sports fan is college football first, right?
You go north of Kentucky, and
so when you start getting those other places, it's not quite the same. It doesn't feel quite the same. Then it's why'd rather us win? So I know why people do it, and I get it. But like I said, I'm not rooting for a rival.
Yeah,
Arkansas, whoever. Yeah, I'm good with. I think that's where that comes in.
Arkansas, teams who have been on the outs for a little while is all right. take it to Bo Wallace days in Ole Miss, and they beat us 2 years back to back. I'll be damned if I'm rooting for Ole Miss to win the national championship. You see what I'm saying? But now you see Ole Miss say they win the SEC West somehow. I would pull for them, depending on who their opponent is. I would pull for them for the sake of Lane Kiffin.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So there's those, but it's the only sport that it happens in.
You got to remember too, Auburn ruined the 7-year streak the SEC had going on.
Yeah.
Listen, I'll be honest. That national championship game, there was a bunch of Alabama fans that were Auburn fans that day.
Not me.
There was even one that used to work here with the last name Hale, first name Jared.
Oh.
Love you, Jared.
No, I don't know about that. I wouldn't root for Auburn.
I couldn't do it, man. I was so excited when Kelvin Benjamin went up and got that, and solidified it, because it honestly looked like Florida, like Auburn was running away with that game, and it was. And yes, there is that whole the SEC is so dominant, and so it makes it easier for, like you said, people being in the South. College football is church.
Yeah.
It makes it easier for people to have that. I don't know.
Allegiance? I don't know. Yeah,
allegiance, alliance.
It just means more.
It just means
the
more.
rack to hang your hat on, another loop in your belt buckle, whatever it is. So I get it, but it still doesn't make a whole ton of sense to me. But each individual game. And that's what makes college football so special, though, that it's the only one that does that. Because we're going from a Braves update talking about, thank goodness that the Yankees are beating the Mets here, to college football and how crazy SEC fans are. You're listening to the Afternoon Underdogs on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes. We've got Tyler Bishop, Barrett Townsend, and Miles Lashley on the board with us today. Coming up in the next segment, KD has decided to stay with the Brooklyn Nets, so we're going to take a look at the newest. What? Oh, you're just...
Where Miles was right.
Where Miles was right. So we're going to look at the new odds. We're going to get Barrett's take and everyone else here in the building's take on Brady's absence, what that could mean, and also what Dana White said on the Gronkcast on ESPN+. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. We'll be back in a few short moments.
Weather in the Panhandle never stops. Turn to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida and staff meteorologist Tim Root for up-to-the-minute weather reports all day long.
Moving northwestward into the Gulf of Mexico by the weekend.
In-depth storm coverage.
Gusty winds up to 60 miles per hour.
And breaking weather as it happens.
We do have a tropical storm warning.
ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Weather forecast for this afternoon, a mix of sun and clouds, showers and thunderstorms, about a 60-70% coverage, a high in the mid-80s, and the winds from the west-southwest 10 to 15, water temperature in the Gulf 87. Showers and thunderstorms overnight in the low 70s, more showers tomorrow. This weather forecast has been brought to you by KHS and Associates, your source for affordable health insurance. For 104.3 and 102.1 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
Great design is timeless, and that's why Tracy's Fine Jewelry inside Coin and Bullion Reserves offers a stunning selection of vintage, antique, estate jewelry on sale now at 40% off. Exquisite Victorian rings, Art Deco diamond brooches, Georgian and Art Deco bracelets, earrings, and pendants. These one-of-a-kind pieces add personality to any ensemble, and now at 40% off. Find your timeless treasure at Tracy's Fine Jewelry inside Coin and Bullion Reserves.
Let the adventures begin in a new Kia from Bill Bird Kia. Now offering 3.49% APR up to 48 months on the purchase of a new 2022 Kia Sorento. You can expand your horizons and ride your next chapter with confidence in the outgoing and adventurous 2022 Kia Sorento that has the perfect balance of comfort, safety, performance, and technology. Bill Bird Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillBirdKia.com. We make buying a car easy. and give you the peace of mind that you can trust.
Offer from KMF for the purchase of a new 2022 Sorento with $22.36 per month per 1,000 financed at 48 months. Quantities limited. No down payment required. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Billbird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 9/6/22.
We're your home for live sports. WGSX Lynn Haven, WTOT, W271DM Mariana, Power Lab Pepsi, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Transmission starts in 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting from the Rib Crib Radio Room. The Afternoon Underdogs are taking your calls live. 850-215-6290. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hour number 2 of the Afternoon Underdogs on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. If you're riding up 231 North and you get to that Jackson County line, switch it on over to 102.1. The signal will be just a little bit stronger. I'm David Hayes along with Barrett Townsend, Tyler Bishop, and Miles Lashley on the 1s and 2s. Let's start it off with Brady because you're a big Brady fan here. Give us your stance on Brady's absence, and then we'll get into the Dana White and Gronk cast.
Y'all going to laugh at me, but this is my take, and I'm sticking with it. The Bahamas was the cover-up. The Masked Singer was actually really, really good because, he signed with Fox. I thought he was really actually going to be in the Masked Singer. I think Tom Brady went to a scientist and is getting himself cloned. Him and his wife, listen, he's got to be 2 places at once. So him and his wife came up with a plan, all right?
I'm intrigued right now.
Brady's going to be home with the kids and the wife, and then the real Tom Brady's going to be playing football till he's 50 with the Buccaneers.
You don't think it was just a non-refundable trip?
No, that's
money
too
like,
easy.
Come on, it's money to Tom Brady and his wife.
Yeah.
I mean, he was off the radar. No one knew where he was at, right?
Right.
He's
If
a
he was
family
in the
man,
Bahamas, if he was in the Bahamas, someone would snap
You
the
think
picture.
he was in Orlando?
No, I said he's a family man. He committed to that when he retired for the little bit.
Exactly.
He's
He's a
not going to
family
let his
man.
family down.
Exactly. So he's got to be 2
He already
places
did.
at
He
once.
came back to football. I like the clone. I mean, I don't,
Listen, it's all about what I'm thinking in my head about Tom Brady.
Well, I like that idea, and I wouldn't be surprised if our government's got, it seems like we find things out 50 years after they actually happen.
If you can clone dogs, you can clone humans.
I mean, they say they cloned Walt Disney, so.
They did. They put it over there in California.
So if anyone can be cloned, it's the GOAT, Tom Brady.
I mean, so would you call them both Tom? Would you call one of them Tommy and one Tom? Like,
Brady Tom.
How would you? So how would you differentiate which one is homebody Tom Brady and which one is
So the Tom Brady at the house, you would have to get some blonde hair. You'd have to get some
It's like
abs.
tips,
yeah.
Some frosted tips.
Him and Zac Efron would have to hang out a little bit, and he would get that Zac Efron look. And then the regular Tom Brady would have way more time for football.
Way more time. I mean, could you imagine if every NFL player, every sports athlete got themselves cloned so they could have an at-home version of themselves, and then the other version is basically the Kobe Bryant, the guy who never leaves the gym and just. But how about but it's Kobe Bryant's birthday, right? Happy 44th. Thoughts and prayers to the family more than anything, especially for all of us who were Kobe Bryant fans. But for him to be such a dad and for him to be such an athlete and the brand of Mamba mentality, I mean, you just don't see that these days.
It tore me apart after he retired, obviously. But just seeing him courtside at the games with his daughter and him basically going play-by-play on what he would do, what he thinks she should do, and then everything he was doing. I have 2 daughters, obviously. Most people that listen here know that I have 2 daughters. What he was doing for the WNBA and just for women's sports in general was amazing to me. I mean, he really was going to, I think, turn the WNBA around.
And well, one thing about that, because I do agree with it, the WNBA's numbers have started to grow a little bit. It would be interesting to see the breakdown of the numbers for the WNBA. And I know this isn't where we were going to go, but just real quick, it would be interesting to see the breakdown of the male-female demographic numbers. Because if the female viewers are the ones who are not supporting the WNBA, then there's a big problem right there.
Yeah.
That's where your problem lies, because you can't sit here and expect us or expect a lot of the guys to buy into something when even the females aren't buying into it. In college basketball, women's college basketball is some of the most fun college basketball to watch, because it's still played like the game of basketball I remember.
Mhm.
So and the WNBA is getting better and better. I mean,
and obviously maybe this is just because my daughters play softball, but the women's college softball,
oh come on,
obviously they don't have a legit professional league. I know sometimes they'll pit something on ESPN,
they're putting
but
some
the
stuff together.
Women's college softball, some of the numbers they got for the viewership, especially for the World Series, was in the millions. They had a great showing. So
if I'm not mistaken, they outpaced the men's college World Series viewers wise.
Wow.
And here's why: the games are quicker. So it's being played at a faster pace, smaller fields, more excitement, and then you got all of the hoorah coming out of the dugouts and all of that stuff. I mean, it's a great product.
I feel like
Miles has got a funny look over there. Get yourself in trouble, buddy.
Mississippi State and Ole Miss both won the Men's College World Series the past 2 years, right?
So that's why nobody's watching.
there it is.
Listen, this is why nobody's watching. Because they have the two biggest baseball fan bases in the country, and everybody who's a fan of that team was in Omaha watching the game live.
So hold on. So why? So that's why when Alabama's in the national championship, the viewership is down a little bit.
Because everyone from Alabama is actually in the stadium.
No, they can't hold that many people in baseball.
I'm just messing with you.
You know what I'm saying?
I know, man. I'm just messing with you. What's your thoughts on Dana White? And we'll get Bishop's take on this as well. Your thoughts on Dana White going on to the Gronkcast and revealing classified information?
Relieved, right? You got to feel relieved.
Well, there's a couple things that I kind of feel about it. So, and this is kind of goes back a little bit when Patrick Beverly went onto ESPN and he's throwing all these shots, all his big anmo to try to get his foot in the door. I'm not saying Gronk needs to get his foot in the door to get into the radio or anything like that, but it's his first ever broadcast of the Gronk broadcast. And I believe it was probably going to happen. I'm glad it didn't happen, but that's my opinion. I think he's just trying to promote his podcast a little bit more.
What are you thinking, Tyler?
I mean, whether there's, like you said, maybe it's exaggerated, maybe it's made up altogether to get ratings, but could you imagine Gronk, Brady, Vegas, Gruden, some of the free agents maybe that followed Tom to Vegas at that point, like how fun that story would have been? I mean, what are the Bucs doing right now? Does Vegas win a Super Bowl at that point? I don't know. The AFC's a little different.
Would John Gruden still be the coach? Would all of that?
I don't think so.
Would all of that have?
I mean, who knows
maybe
how
not
everything changes
came
at that
out
point,
exactly.
It's a butterfly flash.
How does Brady and Gruden is the main thing? How did they coexist?
But Gruden always loved the veteran quarterbacks. Like Rich Gannon came over.
He was so hard
Brad
on
Johnson.
him. Like him and Rich Gannon would like literally fight on the field over stuff. And Brady just left Bill Belichick, a super hard-nosed coach, to go to Bruce Arians, who's let's drink some margaritas and go golfing at 2 or 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So
2 or 3 in the morning, man. That sounds like that sounds like Miles' idea for live golf.
But the thing is, I think Gruden could have taken advantage of it. Maybe, like I said, that's obviously why Tom didn't go there, and there's a bunch of things. But like I said, that would have been a fun pairing. That would have been
I
show I would have
hard
watched.
to say that they would have won the Super Bowl with Brady. Obviously, we don't know because you don't know what free agents will go over there. Maybe Leonard Fournette goes over there like he did with Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
But I will say the Raiders do not seem to have drafted particularly well under John Gruden and what was it, Mayock, right?
Yeah.
So maybe the Bucs have been doing pretty decent in the drafts as well.
Right.
They've been hitting on some big guys. So maybe some of that pans out and it never actually ends up working out, and whatever. But
and
it's a fun what if.
Also, we'd have to go back and look at what the salary caps were looking like at that point in time. Who had
salary
more
caps
money?
fake?
I agree 1,000%.
I agree that it's fake, but still, at the end of the day, like it is.
You eventually have to pay it. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
catches up to you,
what I was getting at, if the Raiders are sitting there with $14 million, but the Bucs are sitting there at $29 million, just for the sake of the argument, exactly because of the recruiting tools. Not only Tom Brady is the face of your recruiting, but then you got to have the finances to be able to back it up.
It would have been great for football, especially with Vegas just opening up.
Yeah.
Imagine, I know they didn't play the year that they said that they were supposed to go 2020. They didn't have no fans because that was the COVID year, right?
Right.
But imagine opening up last year with Tom Brady and Gronk opening up your stadium
Oh,
on
yeah,
Monday Night Football.
And they got that party.
Gronk would have been DJing the halftime show.
Are you ready to rumble? Like, they would have had everything.
He would have came out on the mic, full pads and everything like that.
All right, so does Brady's absence with his family vacation, with him being cloned, whatever the speculation may be, does his absence add any distraction to the team?
I honestly do not think one bit, because I think everyone's saying the right thing, that this was always the plan. When he originally said that he's going to unretire, this is always the plan. They started training camp earlier than what they should have, honestly. He started doing routes with Julio Jones before, honestly, he was even signed, what the reports are saying. But I don't think it'll be a distraction. Honestly, probably gives Kyle Trash, in my opinion, a little bit more reps here. And honestly, the last 2 weeks, we haven't had Mike Evans. We haven't had Russell Gage. So it was kind of good, in my opinion. It gave kind of the younger players a little bit more.
I think as long as they were transparent about it, they don't know the fans and the media anything, right? As long as your teammates know what's going on and they were cool with it, I don't think it's going to cause an issue. But that's the biggest thing. If his teammates are just as clueless as us, they're probably going to be pissed. Like, why does this guy get to take 2 weeks off? Sure, he's Tom Brady, but I'm assuming that's probably not the case. But as long as they were transparent, I think it won't be an issue.
I think he's a pretty transparent, but I don't think he's just going to say,
I don't think he's
I'm going to come to practice today. Hey, I'm going to take a 2-week vacation.
Well, I think I don't want to put it on like this because I believe Coach Bowles is going to be an excellent head coach for the Bucs, but it's Brady's team. You know what I mean? Like,
1,000%.
so as long as Coach knows what's going on. And then there's another thing. What is this? Preseason number 22 for him?
Yeah.
Hey, he knows what's going on. He knows what's going on. He takes time. He does what the other quarterbacks don't do and gets with his receivers on their own time and creates that chemistry and improves that chemistry. 22 preseasons in, I don't have a problem with you taking a little 11-day absence. Would it be different? And this you're not a big. This is, I think, Tyler, you brought this up. Yep. Would this be treated differently if we're 15 days away from the start of the NBA season and LeBron is taking an absence?
I think 100% people would be raking him over the coals.
No.
No, you're gonna explain your no first.
Look, basketball. Me and Dave were talking about this before the show. They need to get rid of head coaches. All these players do is mesh together, and they play whatever game they want to play. And if they're the best players, they're going to win. It's like Coach K at Duke. He gets the 5 best players every year. All he's doing is making sure their chemistry is together, and they're going to win a lot of games and maybe win a national championship. I think the NBA is the exact same way. If LeBron has that chemistry before and he can take a few days off before the season starts and come back and they still have that chemistry, they'll be just fine.
I'm not saying they won't be fine. I think the media and I think the average fan dislikes LeBron more than they
LeFraud.
So I think they would be harder on LeBron doing the same thing than Brady.
I think the team-wise would still be.
Yeah, I think the team-wise is fine.
But the media,
it's even less people to know there when it comes to basketball.
Who's going to go the hardest on LeBron? Skip Bayless, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What's he going to say? He's in Hollywood. He's not here.
He doesn't care about his team. Basketball's coming second to him. He's already mentally checked out. All this other, and part of it is being in LA versus Tampa is a much bigger market. I think
a great point.
I think it'd been treated completely differently. Not that I care a whole lot either way, but I just think it would have been treated. I think it'd be very interesting to see the difference.
I mean, was he filming Space Jam during the season? Was he?
I don't know when exactly.
No, it was in the off season, but he had a basketball.
But I think that filming a movie though at that point is still different than going on this mystery 2-week hiatus. Though that's the thing is nobody knows what Brady was doing, and that's why people are kind of like, oh, what's
Well, and I think one of the biggest reasons of the mystery was if you've got 2 weeks that you're planned to be away from your team, the last thing that you want to be bothered by is the media or is by radio stations like, hey, we know you're off for the next 2 weeks. Can we get you on the air? Like, no, this is cool down time. Look, I've done my preparation for the season. Now get these guys let's get them extra reps and stuff. I'm going to go take my mental break, spend my time with my family because this could be the final year for Tom Brady.
Yeah.
So let's do everything in our power to win the Lombardi Trophy one more time.
Yeah, and I was watching the Derek Jeter documentary last night, and he said what he did with all the media, he didn't give them anything. He kept his personal life private, and they never knew what was going on.
Totally different worlds, though. Totally different worlds. These days, you're an athlete like that, and your agent or whatever. Like, even myself, I'm trash at social media. I spend more time on the Facebook Reels and stuff than I do actually putting together content and stuff. I should be a lot better at that. So let's put myself in the perspective or in the position of being an athlete, and you've got an agent or you've got a NIL collective or whatever, and they're going to be like, well, we need you to be, you need to post this about this company on this said date. I need you in a picture with this hat. Like, you know what I'm saying? So Derek Jeter was just like Michael Jordan, ahead of that social media time. If you watched an earlier episode in that documentary, he goes in to say he's thankful that he didn't play in that time because the nightlife there in New York for Derek Jeter was insane. Just like it was. I mean, look what it did to Darryl Strawberry. Look what it did. You know what I mean? There's a lot of names that we get to know a lot more these days because of social media, and there's a lot of athletes that in their heyday, had social media been a thing.
Imagine Michael Jordan just with his gambling issues.
What was it? Magic Johnson had to. There's some stories about how how he got through LA, so to speak. What I'm saying? Like the numbers he was putting up there, like that kind of stuff back in the day.
Could you imagine Wilt Chamberlain having a mugshot of each one? We got to get
off topic right now.
We got to get to a break, man. We got Zubin Mehenti coming up at 5:30. One more segment before that. Zubin is a Sports Center anchor. Keep it tuned in to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We're the Afternoon Underdogs.
This is your captain speaking. Thank you for flying with ESPN Northwest Florida. Please return to your seats, buckle up, and prepare for launch.
It will lay down. Base hit. Here comes Ronald. Braves win it.
The defending world champion Atlanta Braves are sponsored by Bill Burr Kia, Beltway Portable Buildings, Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, Ellis Agency Insurance, and ESPN Northwest Florida. And we apologize for any turbulence you've experienced this season with the Atlanta Braves.
Weather forecast for this afternoon, a mix of sun and clouds, showers and thunderstorms, about a 60-70% coverage, the high in the mid-80s, and the winds from the west-southwest 10 to 15, water temperature in the Gulf 87. Showers and thunderstorms overnight in the low 70s, more showers tomorrow. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. For 104.3 and 102.1 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
There's never been a better time to get your new Toyota. And during our national sales event, you'll get 1.9% APR, plus no payments for 90 days on new Toyotas, like the stylish 2022 Camry, the exciting 2022 Corolla, the electrifying 2022 RAV4, and get 1.9% on the 2022 Highlander. Call or visit our website, where you can reserve your new Toyota in about 5 minutes.
For details, visit PanamaCityToyota.com. Offer ends September 6th.
Browsing on search engines to find higher education opportunities that align with your goals can be exhausting. Ignite and streamline your college searches with the all-new Hbcu Spark App. This free user-friendly app will help you narrow down your college choices with search options by state, athletics, academics, and degree programs. Sign up with Hbcu Spark for free to unlock unlimited access to financial and other school resources. Hbcu Spark, powered by Tavario Solutions, is available for download on the App Store and Google Play.
Living on the Gulf Coast, we have beautiful beaches, clear water, and amazing marine life. Want to bring a piece of the ocean into your home or office with an amazing aquarium? Gulf Coast Aquarium, the area's only certified platinum CChem dealer. Their staff are all certified CChem specialists. Gulf Coast Aquarium can install, design, maintain, and finance your own piece of the Gulf. Gulf Coast Aquarium, powered by CChem, with over 40 years as a U.S.-based manufacturer of quality aquarium products. Online at GulfCoastAquarium.com. Gulf Coast Aquarium, where it's more than just a tank.
Doing what other stations can't. The Afternoon Underdogs is live and local inside the Rib Crib Radio Room. 850-215-6290.
When you have completed dialing, listen for the ringing signal.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, also 102.1 FM here in Mariana. I'm David Hayes along with Tyler Bishop, Barrett Townsend, and Miles Lashley. Let's get into our boldest predictions. Don't forget the Atlanta Braves. First pitch tonight, 6:05. Coverage starts right after this show at 6 o'clock. Max Fried on the bump for the Braves. We're also your home for the Auburn Tigers again this year. 3 bold predictions, college football, 3 bold predictions for the NFL. I'll start it off first. Baylor and Oklahoma State were in a close one last year in the Big 12. I'm going with Oklahoma State winning the Big 12, clinching a spot in the college football playoff, and doing what the Big 12 does best in the college football playoff.
Bounced in round 1?
And bounced in round 1.
They were about a centimeter away from making it last year.
Yeah, they really
that was
were.
one of the craziest finishes. I remember watching that going into the SEC title game. That was insane.
Golly. Who's next?
I'll go. So USC goes undefeated, and they get to the national championship.
That is bold.
I got 2 more better. I'm just starting off slow.
Let's go. Miles, you up next?
Oh, yeah, my first one is Georgia is not going to make the playoff.
I don't think that's really bold. I think that's pretty much normal.
That's fair. I mean, we'll see how it goes. I mean, I don't think he's completely far off. It really depends on what they go. I said earlier, I think they go. We were talking about. I think they go undefeated in the SEC title game. I think they lose to Bama if they make it in at that point. We'll see if it's kind of a rematch of this year. My bold one is Stetson Bennett makes it to New York for the Heisman ceremony.
That's too bold.
That's bold.
He's on the cover of Sports Illustrated going into the year. The name and story everybody knows now, defending national title. Georgia's offense, I think, is going to have to score a few more points early on in the year as the defense gels. And I think he's going to put up a little bit better number. We threw the least amount of passes in the fourth quarter last year, including the triple option teams.
Yeah.
Georgia has to air it out a little bit more. He can easily get to 3,500 yards, 35 touchdowns. I think his story gets him there.
Let's do it for the United States. I'm talking about the Postal Service. Do it for the mailman. Let's go,
mailman
Stetson.
delivers.
Bold prediction from Caveman Rick. Alabama not making the playoff. Hey, that's bold as well.
Yeah,
it is. I mean, especially coming off of what Nick, for any coach to have the team that they had last year and say, yeah, well, that was a rebuilding year for us in that national championship game we were in with our Heisman winner. We were rebuilding. Well, I can't wait to see this year. Number 2 for me, no SEC team goes undefeated in the regular season. That's Alabama or Georgia. Neither one will go undefeated. And it might be one of those, like Alabama. A lot of people are talking about Tennessee. I'm thinking Ole Miss.
They had 3 or 4 games ago. I mean, LSU?
Yeah. Auburn had them.
Auburn had them. Obviously lost to A&M.
Last year?
They had a few games last year they could have easily lost.
I want to take all the blame for that last year because before the season started, I said it kind of gets boring as an Alabama fan because you sit there and you watch the game and it's like, all right, touchdown, 52-14, third strings coming in, like we're learning about them. And then last year it was like, okay, took care of Miami. Then week 2, Florida was like,
oh, yeah, the Florida game.
The Florida game.
They jumped out like 21-0 too. That was crazy. Like, this game's over, and then all of a sudden, like, oh,
that's when everyone thought Florida was the real deal.
So last year is when my heart condition started. So hopefully, I'm not going to say nothing about any of that. Bold prediction number 2 for Barrett.
Houston is this year's Cincinnati. I think Houston goes undefeated. I'm nervous to say that they'll make the playoffs because I think obviously a 12-1 SEC team that either lost in the SEC championship or lost in the regular season and then won the SEC will get in over them. But I think Houston will go undefeated.
I think a lot of that would depend on their out of conference. They're gonna have to have a win or two outside of conference.
The biggest out of conference game this year is Texas Tech, and it's week 2. Now, I'm not saying it's the biggest, but they started off the season ranked, I think, 23rd, 24th. So if they just keep moving up, kind of like Cincinnati did at the end of the season, I feel like they could.
But I mean, it took Cincinnati starting preseason 7 last year to barely squeak in. I think it's gonna be tough.
Well, they had a bunch of close games too. If Houston just blows everyone out like they're supposed to.
I got Miami winning the ACC. I think.
Hey, James Kelly Jr. says the same thing. Tyler Van Dyke and the Canes.
Yeah, their 2 toughest in-conference games are going to be Clemson and Pitt. They finish off the year at Clemson and then have Pitt at home after that. I think they're pretty close. They might lose 1 or 2 games before that. I think they finished 10-2, and they win the ACC.
I can see it. Okay. I'm going to Arkansas finishes 2nd in the West.
I like that.
I think KJ Jefferson, Bryles, Oldham, Pittman, I think what they got going on, they got some good continuity there. I think there's a lot of question marks in the SEC West after Bama. I think Texas A&M, almost everybody's replacing their quarterback. I think besides Arkansas in the West.
Yeah.
And I think
Alabama.
I was talking about fighting for
everything.
second.
My bad.
So yeah, I think they sneak up on some people, finish like 9-3, 10-2, and finish second in the West.
I like it.
So like I said, also repeating what Miles said, you're gaining some fans today. James Kelly Jr. said the Canes win the ACC. Number 3 for me, North Carolina State. By the end of the year, in the final AP poll, will be a top 10 team. I'm not even top 10 without even winning the ACC. They might not win the ACC championship. They might go undefeated up until that point, losing the ACC championship, win their bowl game, find a way to finish in the top 10 behind their quarterback play.
I like that quarterback.
Number 3 for you.
You can call me a homer. FSU wins the ACC, and they go to the New York Bowl this year.
That is crazy.
I mean, coming from someone that said Miami's going to win the ACC. Yeah. Let me tell you how many times Miami has won the ACC.
The guy just said Tom Brady got cloned over the last 2 weeks, and this is the most outrageous thing he said. Come on, let's be serious.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Tyler. Someone's got my back over here.
Miles, what you got?
So I wrote this down before I looked at Vanderbilt's over-under. Their over-under for total wins is 2.5. Looking at their schedule, the only games they have a chance to win is Northern Illinois and Elon.
They're not going to beat Hawaii? Come on.
No, man. You can't fly to Hawaii and expect to win.
You don't just come into hostile Hawaii Stadium and expect to walk out with a victory.
So I'm going to go with Vanderbilt's going to have one win this season.
One win. They're going to be like the Chicago Bears.
What's crazy is if he came from Notre Dame as their defensive coordinator, if he had stayed maybe that one more year, maybe he gets the job this year over Freeman. Now he's a Vanderbilt. And he's a Vanderbilt grad, so maybe he's not salty about it, but what could have been type deal.
Oh,
man. My bold one is I think UCF is this year's best group of 5 team. I think they end up in the top 10 in a New Year's Six Bowl. I don't think they make it Cincinnati status last year. But I think I kind of mentioned that earlier, John Rice Plumlee.
Well, if you ask UCF, that's the national
Gus Bus is back on the road.
Gus Malzahn, I think they have it going down there in Orlando this year.
It means they win the Natty.
We're going to save our final 3 predictions for the NFL for our segment after Zubin Mehenti coming up next, who is a Sports Center anchor. Let's talk a little bit about some video games here. Starting off with, you guys may not care about golf, so we're going to start off with NCAA football.
Oh, man.
Who should the cover athlete be? Who's going to be the guy from this year who represents NCAA football 23 or whatever they're going to call that game?
See, I've got a different take on this. I think there should be. So the last game was 2013.
14.
With
the
Denard,
2013 right? was called NCAA 13.
Yeah.
So
with D-Rob on it.
Pretty much 11 years since the last one. They should make 11 different cover athletes, all 11 of them being the Heisman for each one of them.
Well,
I could see them maybe doing a collage.
Well,
of
real quick, though, they said that they're not going to use any former Heisman winners. It's going to be a current player. So,
a current player.
So
assuming not using a former player means anybody who's going for the NFL this year.
I was going to say mailman.
No, I was going to say, if it's going to be going... So it's going to be released next year, right? So it's going to have to be a current player then?
A player who's playing this year. Basically take, maybe your Heisman
It'll be the Heisman
winner
from this year.
Put Nick Saban on there.
CJ Stroud.
See, I was actually going to say, what about having Nick Saban at the top and then just, his coaching tree, like Jimbo Fisher, Kirby Smart, Lane Kiffin, just like a collage of coaches underneath Coach Saban.
Yeah, Dan Mullen must have not gotten the invite to the party this year.
I got someone.
It'll probably just end up being the Heisman winner from last year. From this year, I guess.
Kate Manrick said Archie Manning.
Oh, Lord.
Golly. That's worse than NIL. It's like, yeah, you know what? You made a lot of money, name, image, likeness. You haven't thrown a single pass yet.
We're going to also put you on the cover.
And we're going to put you on the cover, and the sales would probably go through the roof just the same.
I'm not a Stinson fan, but if that man wins the Natty last year, even goes to New York this year in the Heisman, they need to put that man on there. Do it for the little people.
Yeah.
Do it for the little people.
No doubt. I wouldn't mind seeing some guys who I think are going to have big years this year. Jahmyr Gibbs, Bryce Young is one, C.J. Stroud, Jordan Addison out of USC. Yeah. Who else? Bijan Robinson. There's quite a few players. I mean, I'm also who was the tight end? Jaleel Billingsley, who's now over there with Texas. I don't think that he could be a cover athlete, but I just had to.
I'm interested to see if going forward, if they start doing a guy coming back to help promote the game, or if they use the leader from, because it was always they couldn't use a current guy because the NIL stuff wasn't a thing. But now going forward, I wonder if they use a current player to help promote the game, or if they do a guy who is now left for the NFL. Like
I think it could turn into a curse if we get that.
You know what would be cool, though, is if you had so you know how every game has so many different editions that you could buy. So you could have like your Heisman winner on the Heisman edition, and then you could have like for your regular edition who's going to be the number one player of this year going into this year, not from last year. All right, you're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, home of the Auburn Tigers, kicking the season off September 3rd versus Mercer. Coming up next, we have Zubin Mehenti, Sports Center anchor. We'll be right back.
Northwest Florida can change on a dime.
Gale force winds bombarded with heavy rain.
That's why 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida has the most up-to-date forecast on the Gulf Coast. Hi, this is staff meteorologist Tim Root. With over 40 years of experience, I know just how fast we can go from sun and fun to a serious situation. For the most accurate and detailed weather, when it matters, rely on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Reliable Copy Products is proud to be the exclusive dealer in Northwest Florida for Kyocera office equipment. Reliable Copy Products has been committed to providing professional, personalized service for the last 35 years. They understand that the right equipment does not always fall within today's budget requirements, so they offer several options for the equipment you need today for the growth you expect tomorrow. Call James Smothers at 784-6601, 784-6601. Reliable Copy Products on Harrison Avenue, just north of Bay High School.
Hi, I'm Bobby Likas with today's Car Clinic Minute. Let's see, 8 a.m. business meeting, 3 o'clock dentist appointment, and 5:30 traffic jam. 5:30 traffic jam? Have a better way in mind to spend that time? When I come back, I'll tell you how to steer clear.
The Car Clinic Minute.
It's Bobby Likas Car Clinic, brought to you locally by Hewitt Tire and Auto.
Call 850-769-7323.
Your certified AAA service center and hometown towing.
Visit them online at HewittTire.com.
On Airport Road in Panama City.
That's 850-769-7323. Hewitt Tire and Auto Center and hometown towing.
To foretell traffic jams, you could use tea leaves, fortune tellers, crystal balls, or technology. Engineers from Siemens Automotive in Michigan have designed a state-of-the-art traveler information system called Quick Scout. This electronic genie uses cellular communications to access real-time information about traffic conditions along specific routes. The system also provides internet access so your passengers can check stocks or send emails en route. Thanks to American ingenuity, now there's a better use for your tea leaves and your time. I'm Bobby Likas. Like us, you'll love us.
Live from the Rib Crib Studio. The mission.
Your mission, should you decide to accept it.
Save the panhandle from boring cookie-cutter radio. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs.
The state will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
All right, and with the Afternoon Underdogs, I'm David Hayes. We've got Tyler Bishop. We've got Barrett Townsend. We've got Miles Nashted Lashley. It is Township Tuesday. We've got Zubin Mehenti on the line with the Sports Center anchor. Been watching a lot of you late night lately, Z. What's been going on, my friend?
Oh, we're just counting it down to football. Apologies to all the baseball fans out there, but we're just getting ready for football. We're really darn close. When I'm old enough where, David, I'm old enough where I remember there was no such thing as week 0. But somehow, some way that was put into the schedule. And believe it or not, there's actually some stakes there. And then we'll get it going Saturdays and Sundays. It's going to be awesome.
I cannot wait for it. So let's give week 0 a little bit of love. Which game will your eyes be glued to?
I think obviously, I'm going to give you one that's out of the box, but I think everybody's worried about Nebraska and Northwestern for obvious reasons. The Scott Frost situation, year 5, no bowl, new offensive coordinator, Trev Alberts restructuring his contract, the old AD, the old Husker star turned AD, where they could probably get rid of him in October if it got really that bad, which is almost unfathomable because obviously you guys know what he did there. at UCF. And I think I've made a lot of bad predictions over the years, but I think right at the top of the list would be I thought Scott Frost was going to be an absolute home run. I'd love to have that one back. But the other game that I think is not meriting a lot of attention but should be is Scott Frost is definitely not the only old-school quarterback legend that is trying to resuscitate his proud alma mater as head coach. Very quietly, nobody is really talking about this, but Saturday night in the final kickoff of the day, because Florida State plays, and obviously you guys will be watching that, but Timmy Chang, I don't know if you guys remember Timmy Chang, he was a record-setting quarterback at Hawaii. He was a tremendous player. He's from Hawaii. As you guys know, Hawaii is kind of a unique job for a variety of reasons, the culture, the fit, the resources, all that. He's 40 years old, and he's going to be coaching his first game ever as Hawaii's head coach after being one of the greatest players in school history. They'll be taking on Vanderbilt, I believe. I think that's the last kick of Saturday at 10:30 Eastern. So that's going to be kind of an under-the-radar one, but I think everybody will be glued on Northwestern Nebraska.
Awesome. I can't wait. Big FSU fan here, so I can't wait for the FSU game. I got a question. With the Texas A&M Bama game, Saban Fisher, all the trash talk that is, do you think this will be the biggest game of the year or one of the biggest disappointments due to all the build-up?
Disappointment, I have a feeling. I just think the build-up is going to be tremendous. Obviously, you guys saw the news today with Saban's salary. Obviously, we know the deal with Jimbo's salary. I think A&M is certainly moving in the right direction for sure. Their recruiting is on fire. But rarely do you see a team that recruits like this. Obviously, they've been talking about modern recruiting for about 20 years, and this is the best class of the modern era. But rarely does a class like that pay dividends right away. If we're talking a year from now, 2 years from now, I think A&M is expecting that class to be the bedrock of what will hopefully for them be a national championship team. Obviously, Jimbo is one of a handful of coaches in the FBS that's a current national championship winning coach. There actually aren't that many out there, believe it or not. But I just tend to believe the hype will be incredible. The run-up will be great. No matter what, Saban is still, he's finally been clipped by an assistant. That was one of the most amazing streaks we had seen, and it was done by, A&M. It's funny, Zach Calzada, I don't even think has really been able to parlay that. I know obviously he has left, but he hasn't even been able to parlay that into the possible starting job at Auburn. So it just goes to show, even a game like that, right, everything it really meant for A&M, the hero of the game is gone, Haynes King is back, which is probably better for them long term. But I'm feeling this will be a lopsided game. I think the spread is already pretty big. I think it's going to continue to grow. But I do believe that A&M is certainly moving in the right direction. And anybody that thinks Jimbo's on the hot seat, I never understood any of that chatter because they won 8 games last year. I think they're certainly moving in the right direction, but I just don't see this being a competitive game this year, if for no other factor than the revenge factor for Alabama. But A&M's moving in the right direction. It's going to be hard to sustain. We are used to, fellas, Alabama, Ohio State, and now most recently Georgia recruiting like this. A&M has just started to do it, and it's very impressive. But doing it and sustaining it are two different things.
Hey, Zubin, with the Big 12 is what I think is the most wide-open conference for any team to win the championship. Who do you think ends up winning it?
That's an interesting point. I think they're finally playing some defense in the Big 12, and I think that's actually made a real hell of a lot of difference, to be honest with you. I think what Dave Aranda did, I don't know if you guys caught this story with Dave Aranda, what he did with this quarterback situation. I don't think I've seen anything like this. One of you guys mentioned you were a big Florida State fan, right? So going into the game last year, the opener, or even the last couple of years, but most specifically last year, there weren't a lot of people that were sure who was going to take the majority of snaps for Florida State in the opener, right? I mean, it was kind of a neck-and-neck battle the whole way through. Fast forward to this year, and if you saw what Baylor did, Gary Bohannon basically led them to 12 wins. And in one of the oddest things I've seen in a long time, and in a really great display of sportsmanship, Dave Aranda basically told Gary Bohannon, look, man, you won 12 games, and as you guys know, Gary's down there in Florida with you guys down at USF. But he said, listen, man, you lost spring ball to Blake Shapen. Shapen is the guy that ended up winning the Big 12 championship game, but Bohannon basically took him there. It's like Carson Wentz got the Eagles all the way there, and Nick Foles put him over the top, right? It's kind of what happened with Baylor. And Aranda said, listen, man, Shapen's younger. Shapen outplayed you. I'm going to let you go. You guys both know that almost every other coach in the country, because of the transfer portal, because of NIL, and because you want to make sure you have enough quarterback depth in the room, that even if he had secretly decided that Shapen was his guy, you got to keep Bohannon in there and tell him it's close, because you have to keep the quarterback depth in the room for the betterment of the program. And he chose not to do that. He said, listen, one guy has separated himself, and I owe it to the other guy because he was so good for me. I owe it to this other guy to tell him the truth and let him go. And now he's down there at USF. So I think there's some good karma riding with Baylor. But then again, guys, if there's a yard of difference between them or Oklahoma State winning the game, you guys remember the Big 12 championship game. Baylor has not been the favorite to win it ever in the preseason, which is surprising because, no matter what you think about Art Briles, he did have some pretty explosive teams, RG3, Nick Florence, Bryce Petty, all those guys. But I like Baylor because I like what this guy is about. He's a different, unique coach, and it's a small gesture, this story that I mentioned of what he did in the offseason. But that's the kind of stuff you don't see a lot at the college football level, and people that do stuff like that, I hope are rewarded in the end.
That's a great story. I hadn't heard that. So a couple years back, we saw Joe Burrow jump from 16 touchdowns to 60 touchdowns, and him going number 1 overall. I don't know if we'll see anybody make that big of a jump, but do you see anybody maybe having a similar jump kind of off the radar now, but jumps up to like a top 5 draft pick, plays his way into a top pick this year?
I don't know about a top pick. I'll give you a guy, though, that I think he has this sneaky good stats. Like, I don't have the stats in front of me at the moment, but if you guys fired him up, I would guarantee you, if you, just went to the internet and I give you this guy's name and you look at his stats, you will say, whoa, I did not realize he was this good. Now, the question is, he's got to be able to take the next step, and that's actually Hendon Hooker of Tennessee.
Oh,
His stats aren't like Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud, but I think if you ask your average listener or somebody that calls in, or just the average college football fan that's maybe not a Tennessee fan or doesn't live in the South, and you reeled off his stats, right, and you said, who is this? You would naturally say one of the 5 best players in the sport. And this is a guy that wasn't even starting for Tennessee last year. Remember, Joe Milton started. Mm-hmm. So I think it's going to be Hendon Hooker. Now, the question with Tennessee, as you guys know, is they've been the off-season hot story. Are they going to be able to take the next step? I mean, obviously, they have a great history, great tradition. Again, you guys know Heupel from UCF. I don't know. I think there was a lot of doubters when he got that job, and I think he's actually proved many of them wrong. But I would go with Hendon Hooker because I really think that I wouldn't say he's sneaking up on people if you're paying attention, but because Tennessee's been off the radar for so many years relative to where they used to be, I think that's a guy to keep an eye on. It's going to be tough to repeat it because everybody will be all over him. I also think this kid, Will Levis at Kentucky, is pretty good.
You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, the Afternoon Underdogs. We're on the line with Sports Center anchor Zubin Mehenti. Zubin, will another Cincinnati-type team emerge this year in college football?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think Cincinnati will probably take a little bit of a step back. I think Houston has finally turned it. I think first couple of years for Holgorsen were a little bit of a struggle. People were kind of wondering because, he actively left a Power 5 job for a Group of 5 job, right? He was at West Virginia, and then he went to Houston, and it didn't really work. People were puzzled. I've actually been down there when Tom Herman was coaching at Houston, and you can win. They have a great stadium. They have great facilities, 4th largest city in America, recruiting hotbed. You barely have to leave the city of Houston. It just was going to take the right guy. I think Herman could have stayed there forever, but obviously Texas came calling. And I don't know if you guys saw it today. He actually signed with CBS Sports Network. He's going to be an analyst. You don't know how fast these things work. Guys are coming in, coming out, leaving the business. But I think Houston has all the infrastructure to get there. They got over the rocky patch with Holgorsen. They have the infrastructure, all the motivation in the world moving to the Big 12. I think Boise is going to bounce back. They had a very uncharacteristically bad season. They had 7 wins last year, which is really low for them. And I think BYU has a real opportunity to break through. They've got a couple of big games that they've got to take care of. They've got a big game against Boise. That'll be a big one. And I'll give you a team to keep an eye on that I haven't done much research on, but a lot of people are talking about. This one's going to surprise you. But again, these are what some of the Vegas people are saying. Keep an eye on the Air Force Academy.
I didn't know Air Force was going to be good this year. I know they won 11 games last year.
Yeah, they've been a really good coach. I'll put it to you this way. I used to work in Denver, Colorado before I joined ESPN in 2011. And for most of the time I lived there, Troy Calhoun was their coach, and he's still the coach. And he was actually an Air Force guy himself. Back in the old days, before all of us were born, Air Force was really throwing it around. They had a guy named Fisher DeBerry who was their head coach, and they were really the most exciting service academy of them all. I think right now Navy has generally become the best. Army can sneak up. Coach Munkin has done a great job. But keep an eye on the Air Force Academy. Mountain West is a little bit more wide open than people think.
Awesome. And what are your expectations for your Rutgers Scarlet Knights?
Oh, well, that's an interesting one. That's where I went to school, for listeners that aren't aware. I just think the biggest thing to them, and this hurts me to say this because, I loved it. I grew up in New Jersey. I went there. But, I'll tell you, this is the cost of doing business. They really don't – academically they belong in the Big Ten, but they really don't have any business being. But if this thing is going to end up being two conferences, and it's going to be the SEC and the Big Ten, and one's going to be supported by ESPN, and the others are going to be supported by CBS, Fox, and NBC, or whatever consortium there is, you're going to need to be in one of those two conferences. And this is saying nothing negatively about the Pac-12 or the Big 12 or the ACC, but eventually if we winnow into a situation where it goes down to two, you've got to fight your way to get in there. And the old joke at Rutgers is, they won the first ever college football game played. They beat Princeton in the very first game in the 1700s. And most people are still waiting for the second win. But
that's why the tickets are at Costco, I guess, right?
Right? But the reality is that, Vanderbilt's not apologizing. Northwestern, Stanford, Iowa State. Many of these schools, I used to cover Iowa State as well, many of these schools that are struggling or bottom feeders in their leagues, they're not complaining. They just have to make sure that when this sport hits the cutoff that's coming, nobody knows what it is. I'll be interested to see Kevin Warren tonight on HBO Real Sports. I'm sure you guys heard he taped an interview that'll be airing tonight. Once you get into where you're going to be in the haves and the have-nots, Rutgers doesn't really deserve to be a have with regards to its results. I don't think anybody could say otherwise. But that's where they are, and I think sometimes it is, Steve Spurrier is a great example. Steve Spurrier is not a pro coach. He's a college coach. And Greg Schiano, obviously, was the coach of the Bucs. You guys know that. He's not a pro coach. He's a college coach. He actually worked with us at ESPN for a while. So I think, they just got the right guy in there. And I'm not saying it's a job a million people want, but when the job is that difficult, guys, when the job is as difficult as the Rutgers job is, it's the guy you want in there. Like Northwestern is a really hard job, but Pat Fitzgerald is the perfect coach. He played there. He knows the expectations. They'll understand if he has a couple down seasons. So sometimes it's all about fit. And they may not be the most successful program in the world, but they have a coach that really wants to be there and understands the challenges that it takes to win at a place like that. It's not easy.
Hey, Z, we're out of time, and next time we catch up, I want to hear the story on why Greg Schiano is one of your favorite human beings in the world of sports. But thanks so much for giving us some of your time, and look forward to continuing watching you on SportsCenter.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, fellas. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Man, that is always great information. The research that he knows about every single thing. I'm sure you guys know. No, I didn't necessarily know that, but now I do. Thanks to you.
Of course I do. Of course,
of course I do.
I knew that the whole time.
Zubin Mehenti, you can catch him normally SportsCenter's on the evenings, on the weekends. Man, lately I've been up pretty late playing some MLB The Show, and so I always catch my guy Z there late evenings. We're going to take one more time out. We'll be right back.
.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. This is Braves country.
A rainmaker ties the game.
The Atlanta Braves send Max Fried to the mound with a 2.6 ERA and 11-4 record to take on the Pittsburgh Pirates, live from PNC Park. First pitch, 6:05. Coverage starts at 6, right after the Afternoon Underdogs. On your home for the Atlanta Braves on the Gulf Coast, it's ESPN Northwest Florida.
Dear past, present, and future football watchers, you know why we're here. The football season is back! Woo! That means those pregame barbecues with an ice-cold Pepsi? Totally back. Your perfectly placed football-watching corner seat back and comfy as ever. 18 Sundays of touchdown scoring, Hail Mary throwing, ice-cold Pepsi flowing football action. You better believe it's back. And since that's too amazing to miss a single second's worth, Pepsi is officially giving you permission to always put football first. And when we say always, we mean always. Like when your lawn is looking less like a lawn and more like a jungle. If the game's on, then the lawnmower ain't. And those gutters you haven't cleaned, today is not their day. Or maybe those in-laws are back in town. Well, better hope they're football fans because your Sunday is completely booked. Long story short, crack open a Pepsi and don't let anything get between you and your football watching. With love, Pepsi, made for football watching. That's what I like.
Dr. Chad Mitchell, orthopedic surgeon, specializing in sports medicine and joint replacement of the knee, shoulder, and hip. He serves our local athletes and our community. Southern Orthopedic Specialist has been the leader in orthopedic care for over 20 years. New patients are welcome. Call 850-769-KNEE to schedule an appointment. More about Dr. Mitchell and Southern Orthopedic Specialist is available on their website, southernorthopedic.com. Southern Orthopedic, getting you back in the game.
Hi, it's Coach James Hale. Keeping your car looking great is easy as 1, 2, 3 at Blue Sky Express Car Wash. By joining their monthly wash club, you'll get the best bang for your buck. And just 2 car washes, your monthly membership pays for itself. Don't miss the summer deal where all your monthly memberships are 50% off on your first month, starting at $9.99 a month. Become a member today at Blue Sky Express Car Wash on Bat Beach Road, right next to Home Depot. Tell them Coach Hale sent you.
Live from the Rib Crib studio. Hot takes, the latest trades, in-depth interviews.
That is my reaction.
We break it down for you right here.
Very big springboard for the rest of my career.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
That's the problem right there.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back in 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. You're listening to the Afternoon Underdogs. It is Township Tuesday. We've got Tyler Bishop, Barrett Townsend. We've got Miles Lashley. I'm your host, David Hayes. We are the Afternoon Underdogs. Couple of things happening in the local area. We've got 2 Panhandle players named preseason players of the year. Central Florida Prep has named them as the SSAC North Florida League preseason players of the year. I'm talking about PSJ. That's Port St. Joe's running back DJ Oliver. He was named the preseason offensive player of the year. And Bluntstown's defensive tackle Deontay Reed was named the league's preseason defensive player of the year. Both players are entering their senior seasons after putting together massive junior campaigns. Oliver had 2,000 total yards with 30 tutties to go along. Reed notched 54 tackles, 6 of those for a loss, and also recovered 7 fumbles.
That's a lot of fumbles.
That's a lot
7
of
fumble recovery. That's solid.
And then also in the world of youth baseball, the Gulf Coast Crush, they went to Pascagoula for their fall opener. The 8U went undefeated. Yeah, right. You better know if you're from there, but I'm not. The 8U went undefeated. The 9-year-old team went undefeated, both leaving as champions. Joseph Garner came in relief with 0 runs earned for 4 innings in the championship game to get the win on the mound, and was named MVP of the tournament. To get the final run in the Rusty Boyette reached base with 1 out, stole second and third, while Mason Mayo had a 6-pitch battle that led to a walk-off hit for the Gulf Coast Crush to win the game. They had amazing pitching from Lane Bauer, Caden Rich, and McKylan Bryant, a.k.a. Jelly. Great plays made by A.J. Grady, and the hitter of the weekend was Eli White. For 8U, there was hits after hits after hits. Their record is now 24-1 in their last 25 games. You got Max Fried going up against J.T. Brubaker up next. After the Afternoon Underdogs, we've got about 4 minutes left here, so let's briefly go through, if we have time, our bowl predictions for the NFL. Number 1 for me, the Patriots will find a way to the playoffs to ruin the chances of the AFC West getting all 4 teams in.
I'm going to go super bold. I'm going to say Matt Rule does not get fired this year. I think Baker does enough to help him keep his job.
Oh, Baker the saver.
Trey Lance MVP.
That's all you got? That's it?
That's
you think it's that simple?
my man has had
confident in it.
He's throwing them out today.
He's had 8 fingers on a cliff today with his bold predictions. Miles, what you got?
That's not really bold.
I got
the other two.
As long as Joe Burrow is on the Bengals, he's never going to go back to the Super Bowl with those cheap owners.
Ooh.
That's fair. I like it.
Number 2 for me. Wait, did you get to yours?
Yeah, I got mine.
All right.
Rule keeps his job.
Number 2, Detroit Lions finished second in the NFC North.
I'm going to piggyback on that one. We'll say DeAndre Swift ends up running back 1 in fantasy football this year.
Whoa.
Bears are going to be the first team to ever go 0-17.
Oh.
The Bucks don't make the playoffs.
Amanda's going to be happy for that one. The Bucks don't make the playoffs? That's
bold.
I don't know what's more bold, the Bucks missing the playoffs or Trey Lance winning the MVP. Let's go. What do you got for number 2?
Swift ends up fantasy football running back 1.
Running back number 1. Number 3 for me, Kadarius Toney finishes with 1,000 yards, over 1,000 yards, with either Daniel Jones or Tyrod Taylor as his quarterback.
Nice. Jags win a really easy division against the Colts and Titans.
The Jags win the AFC South.
Jags win the AFC South.
You're wild.
But this is what we're doing, right? Bold predictions. And I mean, my man is bold as, what is it, Cheetos or nachos or what? Or Doritos? Doritos bold. That's what I'm looking for.
I got another team missing the playoffs out of the NFC Beast, but I got the Cowboys missing the playoffs.
Cowboys missing the playoffs.
I think everyone knows that.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you.
I got the Houston Texans do not have the worst quarterback play in the AFC South. I think Davis Mills ended up better than one of the other quarterbacks in the division.
So Ryan Tannehill, Matt Ryan,
Lawrence, or Matt Ryan. I think Davis Mills isn't last.
Which one of them do you
If I had to
down?
bet, it'd be Tannehill. He struggled last year, but Lawrence could easily be that guy as well.
I think that tight end position is really going to prove conducive for Tannehill, but if not, I mean, 3 interceptions in a playoff, especially when your defense does its job.
7 sacks.
9 sacks. Get sacked 9 times, get up 10, win the game, take your team to the Super Bowl. And you were, I would say, 0.75 seconds away from winning that Super Bowl because Jamar Chase was on a fly and he was wide open.
The defender fell.
Yeah, if Aaron Donald doesn't get – Aaron Donald made the sack, right? Yeah, if he doesn't make that sack – yeah, exactly. Oh, my gosh.
Clone Brady misses 3 games this year.
No, Clone Brady's going to get Clone Tyreek Hill's legs and be the fastest quarterback in the league.
Christian McCaffrey's playing the whole season.
Oh, man. My fantasy team sure does hope you're right.
Bear's like,
that
yes, please.
is
Him and
bold.
Derrick Henry.
All right, for Township Tuesday, the Afternoon Underdogs, I'm David Hayes, Tyler Bishop, Barrett Townsend, Miles Lashley. We'll be back tomorrow at 4. Coach James Hale live at 7 a.m.
I don't care.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is the Panhandle's destination for the Atlanta Braves.
Got him swinging strike 3.
Ozzie